For me, building cars just changed. Like, instead of the canvas being a blank piece of paper, now it's a blank car. If you would have told me, like, hey, people gonna with you because you making YouTube videos and they gonna vibe with that, I would have never believed it.
The streets wherever you were drifting at are like so narrow and there's cars everywhere.
That's the hood. That's where we're from. That's 9-8.
Like, that is insane.
So all those videos y'all seen with my 300ZX, that car never had an angle kit. That was stock angle. And stock 300ZX have the worst angle ever. To me, there's nothing gonna be better than a 2J. When people be comparing like the new BMW motors and stuff like that, it's like, bro, y'all comparing a new motor to a motor that's like 25 years old, bro.
So according to some people, Vipers is like not a good platform.
Bullshit. I went from hating LS's. Then once I got it, I'm like, all right, it keeps making power. It keeps making power. It hasn't broke. And now to this day, it's like, they're still like one of my more reliable cars. Even when my BM was like, oh, make a YouTube account, I was like, ain't nobody gonna watch that shit.
Why you say BM? Why did you say a girl?
To this day, me and Kicks ain't never raced. We've never raced.
That was one of the questions too. Are you ever gonna race him? Can you talk about this Twinkie situation?
Nobody thought I'd be here. Nobody. Like, I didn't even think I was gonna be here, especially doing this. Like,
Welcome back to another episode of the Street Alpha Podcast. I am your host, Tukes, and we got my guy Grim here, our fabulous co-host. We're out here in Cali at Sax Beat Shop.
There we go.
So you guys have been waiting for this. If you guys are watching the clips, I know you guys have. You guys have requested our guy Mike Myke over here to be on the podcast, and it was on one of the bigger episodes on our channel from New York, oddly, because we're on the opposite side of the country, and it was on a video that was on a New York episode. So let's clap it up for Mike Myke, guys. So we had a long conversation before this. We got to see some drifting in the parking lot in the rain, which is pretty dope. So yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know we spoke. We've been speaking for a while, and you actually answered and made it happen. I was kind of like, he's not going to answer. This guy's not going to answer because of where you are and how big you are on YouTube and so on. So thank you. Appreciate you. And also thank you,
Alex over there,
owner of Sax Beat Shop, for giving us a place to film. Yeah, I want to learn a lot about you in terms of how you got into cars and the culture out here on the West Coast. I think Grim is probably going to do a better job at kind of tapping into that side because of the street racing culture. And we grew up in different hoods, but it's all relative. So basic question is how you got into cars.
Man, honestly, I've been in, like, there's no real time frame. I've been into cars and just tinkering with anything that had an engine on it. My grandpa was an engineer. He used to work on ships and stuff. So growing up, I had like little go-karts and stuff like that we used to mess with. And, you know, my first engine swap was on a go-kart.
A go-kart?
Yeah. My go-kart had like a little 6-speed Tecumseh or whatever, or 6 horsepower Tecumseh motor. And they were doing like construction and stuff down the street. So it had like this, like, I guess, concrete breaking machine up. And they had like this little 10 horsepower Honda motor on it. So, you know, I was like, man, this machine been here. Ain't no construction people. I actually went over there, took the engine off the equipment, and came back and put the little 10 horsepower motor on my go-kart. So it was hella heavy, bro. Like, if you wasn't sitting in the go-kart, it would like tip over and stuff. So ever since then, I've been into it. Like, before drifting was even a thing, we used to take the go-kart drifting in the park grass, all kind of stuff. So it's just been, since I was a kid, I guess you could say the cars and stuff just got bigger.
What year was this around? How old are you now, by the way?
34. A lot of people think I'm a lot younger. You know,
you're 34?
Black don't crack, yeah. 34.
Damn, I thought you were going to be there. That's crazy.
I'm old as hell.
All right, so what year was that when you were messing around with the go-karts?
Bro, this is, man, I would have to say I had to probably be at about 10, 11.
10.
Yeah. I think I was almost out of elementary. I was like just getting ready to start hitting middle school.
Damn, that's early. I wasn't even messing with cars or even...
I had a Game Boy. I was playing Pokemon.
Yeah, that's about it. That's early, man.
It came down to my grandpa. He used to, you know, he used to always be messing with stuff. So, you know, we gotta, and I guess it's the, like, where we're at. Like the older kids in our hood, they were riding around on go-karts. I actually bought my go-kart from one of the homies in the hood, like one of our older partners. Yeah. So I had bought the go-kart from him, begged my grandpa. He wasn't trying to let me get it. He was like, you gonna kill yourself. I ain't getting you that thing. My grandma didn't want him to let me get it. And then I kind of begged him. He let me get it. And then after that, I crashed it a couple times. Me and him would fix it. So yeah, that's how it really started. Just go-karts, going from training wheels. And it's like, all right, we're going to get on a bike. All right, now we got a go-kart. Let's get on a mini bike. All right, let's try to do pocket bikes. Let's try to do shifter carts. And then as I got older, I got my first car. And it was just like, let's see what we can do with this. So it's really the same concept, just toys, really.
Right. So how was the culture growing up back then, and where you grew up at?
So I'm from
Oakland, right?
From Oakland, yeah. Right. So also want to touch bases on this because like now the way Oakland is set up, it's a little different. But when I was growing up, you had East and West Oakland and North Oakland, whatever. But East and West Oakland didn't they were funking at the time. Okay. So if you were from East Oakland and West Oakland was like, it was a big conflict. And the reason why I mentioned that is because my grandfather stayed in East Oakland. So, I'd be over there all the time. That's where I'm from. I'm from 9-8. But my grandmother stayed in West Oakland. So I would also be, in the West too. So, growing up in both areas was a little different. Like you had people that you would grow up with in West Oakland that knew you like, oh, you from the East, but that's bruh. But then you had people like man, your boy from the East. So, you had that conflict. And, like I told you, being light skinned didn't make it no easier. So, you light skinned, they automatically think you soft and they gonna, try to pick on you and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely different growing up in Oakland. Oakland is divided by subsets. Okay. So not really Crip and blood based like how it is in SoCal. So every 10 blocks is a different hood. So, we had our section, then, you be across the light and you don't like the people over there, but right. It was different for sure.
Did you have any friends that you were close with that you ended up seeing in prison? Or
my best friend Aaron, who's like my day one. I was actually gonna try to get him to come here. I want him to come with me, but he it's crazy. I think I told this story once, but fast forwarding it, we had already been into cars. I think I'm probably 17 at the time. He a year older than me, so he was 18, or no, he was probably 19 and I was 18. And he had money and stuff. He was with our older homies from the hood. They was doing their thing and stuff. And I would see him. He had just got his 50 or 5.0 for people that don't know what 50 is. That's what we call him in the Bay. We call them 50s. But he had just got his 5.0. He had like a Buick on 22s and music and stuff. So he'd be picking me up. I'll call him like, hey, bro, pick me up. I'm about to, go drop me off at the little BZ house real quick. So, he had the nice stuff. You want to get dropped off to your little girl house with the nice stuff. So one day we was talking. I was like, bruh, like nigga, y'all got bread, like put me on, bro. Like, I'm trying to get on this. So at the time they was hitting banks and stuff. It was hitting banks and getting away. Wow. Like, really? And it was hitting banks like heavy. So I had hit him. I'm like, bruh, take me next time you go. So he was telling me, he was like, hey, we got one online. He was like, we're gonna go in the morning. I'm gonna call you and I'm gonna come get you. And I was like, all right, bet. So I wake up early because I'm like, now I'm about to get some money. So morning comes, I'm calling him, he ain't answering. So now I'm getting mad, like texting him like, bro, you hating on me, bro. You ain't trying to see me get no money. Thought you was gonna take me, bro. Like you catting, like no answer, no nothing. So I want to say, probably a week or two go by, I don't hear nothing from him. And then he ended up calling me, collect call, answer. And, I'm chopping it up with him. I'm like, bro, or no, he didn't call. He had somebody three-way me. And it was him on the phone. And I'm like, what's good? Like, bro, what happened? Like, nigga, you a cat, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, you didn't ghost me and everything. He like, bro, we got caught. Damn. So he ended up doing 10. And then, he went with our other partners. And I want to say they probably 12 or something like that. Like everybody, did around the 10 to 15 year mark. But it was just that, like, damn, bro, I was supposed to go with you that day.
Yeah.
But he was like, he was like, I didn't call you. He was like, I don't want to bring you into this shit. And, I just don't want you being a part of this lifestyle.
Right.
So, for me, it was an eye opener because it was like, damn, like if I would have went that day, I would have went down. So I had never been to jail. He had never been to jail. And that was the first time he got caught. So it would have been the same situation. So a lot of people know him from my channel because when he got out of jail, I went and picked him up. His first meal out of jail, I went and got him, so, that's like my day one. Yeah. So, I go pick him up now, times didn't change. I didn't, that 10, 12 years he was down. I did a lot in that 10 years. Right. So now, I'm the one with the money, so I'm going to pick bro up. I'm picking him up in the 350Z at the time. He had got out, he's going into the halfway house and stuff like that. So, it was just, it was like a roll flip. So I felt like obligated to make sure I was looking out for him. Like he has the Fox body right now. He had a Fox body before he went down. So if I go back, rewind a little bit, when it came to us getting into cars, the same people that I had bought my go-kart from, they had started getting into 50s. My older homies. So we come back from 50s, 5.0s, Fox bodies.
I actually like seeing it that way. Yeah.
So
that's pretty interesting.
We come from that era. So our older homies would be swinging the 50s in the hood and stuff like that. So, we on go-karts. We're like, I want a Fox body. I want a Fox. So my green Fox that people are familiar with, that was my very first car. I still have it to this day. But when he got out, the one that he went down with, once he got out, I helped him get that back together. Long story short, it was in front of my house, ended up getting towed. And then I ended up having somebody that was familiar with the channel hit me up and was like, hey bro, like want to donate a Fox to y'all. So they donated a Fox. I gave it to him, helped him with that one. And then even now his F body, somebody hit me like, oh, want to donate an F body to the channel. I'm like, all right, well, like bro, like you like F bodies. I'm not, I'm not the biggest fan of them. Like, go get it. So his 2 cars, like, that's just something that, we've been working on and helping him with. But like I said, that's my day one. So him, I'm obligated, like, regardless, because I feel like, you say, if it wasn't for him not calling me and looking out, like, nah, I ain't about to take you on this crash mission with us. I would have went down, And if I would have went down, it's like no telling where I would have been at. Yeah. Like in that 10 years, like a lot then changed. And especially now, we looking at it like 15 years later, his job right now, I got him put on with this Will company. So he's still working there. Made sure when bruh got out, it was like, times where he was like, man, I need some money. Like, nah, bro. Like, like waited out, helping him with the applications, the whole shit. So, again, like out of all my partners, that's probably like my number one, my day one, just because of the fact is like, bro, like I can't repay you for that. Yeah. If it was somebody else, I would have just been another head. Like, yeah, we got more bodies to come with us. Like the more, the better. So, for him to be like, nah, you bruh, like I ain't gonna take you in that situation, was just like love. So, for him, when anytime he call, he needs something, I'm like, all right, it's good. But yeah, he one of the ones that been around this whole time.
So do you think that experience or that situation kind of made you want to get into YouTube and figure something out for yourself at the time?
Nah, man. When it came to YouTube, like,
or trying to figure something out in terms of like going a different route.
I didn't even monetize my YouTube until I had already 30K. Like I never cared about monetizing the YouTube. So I had got like known from doing street drifting videos. But I was posting more on Instagram and Facebook. So I had a 300ZX that was like a controversial one. This is my teal one. Yeah. It's my first Z. Yeah. And I don't want to play the race card, but you had those people, me being black, drifting through the city and stuff. It was like, I hope this nigga die and crash. You doing all this and that, but you either loved it or hated it. It was so reckless, but it was good. Yeah. When people first started doing donuts and takeovers, like the video was called Waking the Neighbors Up. So when I originally posted to Facebook, it was a spicy video. Like it wasn't edited like the one is on YouTube. Yeah. Like the one on YouTube, I dumbed it down because I knew, like, if you look on my YouTube, that's my first video I posted. My very first video, because I knew it was gonna hit. 2 weeks on Facebook, it had 2 million views. I deleted it because people were tagging CHP and all kind of stuff. That's how weird it got. Yeah. So that video, I took it, dumbed it down, make it a little bit cleaner, threw it up on YouTube. First video on YouTube, 200K. I was like, and I didn't really do nothing with it. I was like, all right, cool. But my 300ZX, I ended up getting rear-ended in it. And then after that, it was just like, damn, like, all right, what I'm gonna do now? And then you had the people that were like, they were hating it so bad, like, oh, we knew you was gonna crash. It's about time. I'm glad you messed up a good car doing all this dumb stuff in it. So now in my mindset, I'm mad. I'm like, bro, I'm about to come back way hotter. Like everybody counting me out. They doubting me. When I got my second 300ZX, everybody was like, oh, bro, you should start a YouTube to start documenting. We want to see it go down. And I was like, I ain't doing that. Like, I didn't make my YouTube account. My BM made my YouTube. She made my YouTube and my Instagram. I was like, after MySpace, bro, I was done with social media. I didn't care about it. MySpace. I was like, wanted to be like one of those people that was like I didn't care about social media at that. I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. Like she would be watching videos of people doing hauls. I'm like, that's stupid. Like you watching people open stuff. I'm like, that's dumb. Like ain't nobody gonna watch me build no cars. For what? But I was like, you know what? Everybody want to see it. I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I started building my 300ZX. And, I was posting here and there, but in the meantime, I wanted to get another car as a daily. So I ended up getting my SC300. Once I got my SC300, it was just like, it was a game changer because that car, it was like a quick build. I want to say it went from stock to wide body with the 2JZ in a matter of like probably like two months or something. Like I did it super quick. None of that stuff was really documented. They just know like, oh, car's done. First video is me, you know, driving it or whatever.
Yeah.
So SE comes and now we're just, you know, throwing power at it. I already had 240s and stuff like that prior to being on YouTube because I was always into drifting.
Right.
But once the SE came, it was like, it was my first 2J car. I come from SRs and stuff. So I'm having fully built SRs that are making 450, 490 horsepower. And here I am with this stock 2JZ S3300. I threw some E85 and a big turbo at it. And I'm like, damn, this thing made 630. I'm like, for a fraction of the cost my SR was. So now I'm, you know, the car's making power. I'm driving it and people are loving the SE. So the SE stuff starts taking off, even though the channel was mainly for 300ZX content.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, this is cool. And then car goes to the paint shop. I end up buying another car. I started building my 350Z. Like anytime I've bought another car is because one car was down or at a shop. So it's like, oh, I need something else to drive around. This needs to be my new daily.
Yeah.
And then just snowballs from there. But yeah, as far as YouTube, man, like.
Well, this is later on though, right?
Yeah, this is like.
So you were into cars before YouTube.
Before.
But you just mentioned that you were into Nissan. So you had SR20s. So
Yep.
before there was even a camera involved into any of your car journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you started. Where'd you get the influence for that?
So my very first car was the Fox body.
Okay.
But at the time, I didn't have the money to fix it. My uncle had that car. He ended up blowing the second gear out of it, and it just sat at my auntie's house for, I want to say, like, until I went and picked it up. So when the car was sitting there, I would be like, yo, let me get the car. Let me get the car. No, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to tear it up, blah, blah, blah. So I'll give it to you after you graduate. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So it was sitting the whole time. And then one day, like fast forwarding it, I tell him, I'm like, so with the car? He's like, oh, you better go get it. And this is like years later. This is probably like a couple years ago. I went and grabbed that car. So I went and got that. But back to where we're at, that was my first car that I finally finished like two years ago. Yeah. But prior to that, when I first got into drifting, you know, everybody had S chassis. And the way the story how I got into S chassis is crazy. So remember I told you I grew up in West Oakland. Mm-hmm. Across the street from the projects we grew up in, which is the Acorn Projects, there are these tall ass high rise buildings. There was this shop right across the street, like directly across the street. I'm talking about, I walk out the door, I just go straight across the street to the shop. I can't remember what it was called at the time. It was C4, C5 or something. So it was something along those lines. Yeah. But the dude that owned the shop was named Horace. And he would just do nothing but R7s. He had nothing but FDs there, like sick ass FDs. And then when he ended up getting rid of the shop, this dude named Joey came over there. And Joey was like old school Corolla, Celica guy, 4AG stuff, 20 valves. Like he's super old school with it. Yeah. Like initial D type stuff. Corollas, AE86s, Mangos, all that type stuff. So when I started going over there talking to Joey, I'm just, you know, black kid from the hood going over to his shop. He like, you know, kind of skeptical, like, So I slowly just started always going over there. And then one day I went over there, I was like, you know, can I do a senior project on you? Ask you some questions. I did my senior project on, you know, street racing and cars and stuff. Yeah. So just going over there and finally, you know, you go over to a place long enough, they start, you know, they take you in. Basically like a stray cat. Takes me in, you know, I'm going over there now. I'm, you know, just hanging around. I'm upstairs on their computer all day because we ain't got no internet at the house or no computer. So I go over there. I'm just Googling hella car stuff, just ODing on it. I'm just on YouTube at the time, fucking watching videos and what is it, 380p or something? Like horrible quality. But I'm over there just, you know, watching videos and stuff. And he ended up giving me my E30. I had an E30 that he gave me for like $200. Like, oh, you want a car? You want to get into drifting? Here you go. I'm gonna give you this car, E30. So I get that car, and in my mind, I'm like, I want an S chassis, because they were already working on them. Yeah. They were working on like S chassis at the time, making like 320 horsepower, which was fast as hell out of an SR back then. So I'm like, I want an S chassis. I don't want this old ass car. He gave me the car. I want to say probably 2 weeks later, I flipped it. I sold that thing for $300, and I bought a 240 for $300. Oh my God. So I buy my first 240, and now I'm like, all right, weld the diff. I'm throw some Taquigo blue shocks on it. I'm in front of the shop doing donuts, trying to figure it out. First track event I went to was with them, with Performance Options. Yep. Went to Thunder Hill. Very first turn, first lap in the car, flew off the track, broke all the aero, everything. Jeez. Yeah, so like that's how the S chassis stuff came along. But after that, it was just like the goal was always to have a SR. like I had already rode in one before I got my S chassis, so I had already had the mindset. I'm like, I'm getting an SR.
Yeah.
So once I finally bought my SR, you're a kid. I'm working at Ross making $7 an hour. My second job, I'm making $7.50. I'm working 2 jobs and trying to go to school. SRs at the time, you get a whole front clip for like $1,000. I ended up buying a SR from them at the shop, and his nephew was building motors.
Yeah.
So I ended up having him build me an SR20. Once it was all complete, I'm in my granny house in the driveway. I'm doing my very first swap, because now we didn't move from the projects and the high rises to where her old house. My granny owns 2 properties, but at the time, she was renting them and stuff like that. So now we moved over there. I'm in her driveway, trying to figure out how to do this SR swap, looking on Zilvia and stuff like that, trying to piece it together. So I ended up doing my first SR swap. I want to say I was probably like 18 or 19, or probably 19. I want to say 19, somewhere around that age. And then I got it running, got everything running, but I didn't really know wiring. I was literally going to school for automotive. I was in my wiring classes, but I couldn't figure out how to get it. Like, I'm checking everything's checking out, but I ended up sending it to a shop. They, he's looking over. It's like, oh, everything's right, but the wire at the ECU's broke. I couldn't tell that because it's in the middle of the harness. So he fixed that, and from there it just became a problem. That was the first time I ever took my car to a shop and regretted it. Very first time for sure.
I think you can relate because DSM stuff is like pretty similar, right? With the wiring,
there's always some
like
wiring. There's always some fucking engine problems. There's always just something going wrong, bro. And I guess like if you stay consistent on what you want to do or move on to a different platform, that's how you kind of choose what platform you want to move to next, I guess, too, what you like. But
no, they couldn't tell me nothing when it came to SRs. I was like, no.
Yeah.
It was like diehard SR. I blew up 9 of them. 9 SRs. My 10th SR is when I figured out the recipe. Wow. I blew up a lot. But at the time, I will say I probably had one of the fastest SRs out here.
Really?
At the time, my SR, this is like, mind you, this is years ago. I had an SR that was making $495.
So wait, when you say out here, what's out here? You talking about Sacramento area?
No, I'm talking about like Bay Area in general.
Okay, because I don't know how California is huge compared to like, obviously New York. And
we in Sac, but I'm from the Bay Area, so
most of this is all Bay Area, kind of like your whole upbringing.
Yeah,
everything you refer to is all Bay Area.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
but yeah, 490 at the time was hella fast, and I was doing it for a drift car.
Right,
I wasn't even thinking about drag racing, nothing like that. It was just so happened that I'm like, me and my boy had horsepower wars. He had a KAT, I had an SR, and we were going back and forth. He's like diehard K. I'm like, nah, SR, bro. So I made 430, or I made 429. He makes 430.
Yeah.
I make 490, 495. He makes 492. Like, we're like neck and neck on horsepower. He makes more torque. I make more horsepower. My car is lighter. His car is heavier, but he makes more torque. So we're doing all this, and mind you, we're teammates. We're drifting together. So we got 490 horsepower KAs and SRs. We're drifting and everything. And then I ended up, I want to say I didn't blow it up. What ended up happening was the oil pickup ended up falling into the pan. And then after that, now SR is gone. I'm like, oh damn. I'm like, damn, there go another one. This is the 9th one. So I ended up figuring out the recipe after the 9th SR on like, all right, this is how we make this work. This is how we get it together.
Do you know any of the differences between the two, like SR and KA? Like,
what made you choose that? Yeah, what made you like lead towards one?
Well, at the time I was doing it, there wasn't really a lot of aftermarket support for KAs. So that's where the choice came from. I already knew the displacement on the KA would be better, but
it's cast, right? Cast block.
It's
SR
full
is
cast,
aluminum, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you had cast versus iron block.
Got you.
So the SR was like, all right, it's automatically gonna be lighter. You have if the goal was 300 something horsepower, you can do that with a GT28. It was like a simple setup. At the time, you can just do side feed injectors. You could do like a freaking ECU email tune. This is like back then when you send your ECU out, they send it back, or you do a SAS FC. So it's like during that period. Like standalones is kind of like what's a standalone? Everything was piggyback.
Right. That's so true.
Yeah,
I was on a
my boy's got one right now. It's piggybacked right now.
Piggybacked? On what?
One of those old Apexy controllers or some shit.
Damn,
like that. Yeah, it's an old car. It's around that time.
Yeah,
frame.
Apexy AF like an AFC, whatever it is,
Yeah, he's got a SR in there as well. I think a GT35 or some shit. But
see, that's big on the SR.
Yeah,
I feel like the biggest I'd go on the SR is a GT3076.
3076,
and that was lagging on my car.
Yeah, it should lag,
but so you were building your car more so for drifting, not really for street racing or drag racing, right?
I didn't get into really caring about drag racing until my SE.
Okay.
So
when you had
we're going back to the SE.
So before we skip this point, so as someone who's building a drift car, why would that turbo size matter for someone who's like wants to drag race or drift?
Response. That's the big thing. Like when I had the GT3076 on there, like my last SR that I got rid of in the 300ZX, I had downsized that turbo. I did a 2871 just because I wanted the response and the torque.
Right.
Because I'd be driving and the car would make a gang of power. Like let's say we got a big sweeper coming. Cool, I can load it up. Now I'm in third, car's putting out hella smoke. It looks good. I can go into fourth if we got, enough speed, putting out a gang of smoke. But the moment that track gets technical and I got to drop down in the second gear and I have to slow down real quick, now I don't have nothing down low to help me get to this next transition.
Right.
Because now I need to be at damn near $5,000 before I get any power. Whereas the KA, like down low, $3,000, that thing's sparking right back up.
Right.
So the response rate is very important for drifting. For drifting, you don't really care about the top end. You want the low and mid range. Mid range is probably the most important power band for a drift car. It's not the top end, it's the mid range.
Yeah.
So a lot of people mess up where they'll like 272 cams, like cams that are hella big, turbos that are too big.
Yep.
Whereas like a 260, a 264, like something like smaller, even smaller than that, like on the SR. Like my 272s on that car were like so laggy. That car didn't even like wake up until like 4,800. So imagine having 4,800 and then like, oh yeah, I got a big power band because I'm revving to 85. You like, nah, your power bands suck. Like it's super high up. So for fast layouts, it's dope. Like anything technical, like a skid pad that has a bunch of cones, it's gonna be horrible. Like there's no reason I should have 500 horsepower and I'm clutch kicking just to, get power back up. So
Right. Yeah. Right.
That was the downfall on that.
Did you have any experience with other platforms when you started your early drifting career, other than the SR?
Nah, I was so 240 based. I was like diehard, like 240. I had like 3 of them before I finally bought my next car,
which is the SC, right?
No, so when I had my 240s, I ended up buying like between SN95. So I went back to the Mustangs and I didn't keep that long. I got rid of it. Then I bought another 240, which is my yellow 240 that people may be familiar with, which was the one that had the SR in it at the time. What's crazy is, remember I told you my 300ZX got rear-ended.
Yeah.
So 300ZX gets rear-ended. That car is done. And then my 240, now I'm daily driving that because I had the 300ZX and the 240 at the same time. So 300ZX is gone, driving the 240. Guess what happens? I had just did a drift event. I'm on the freeway driving. I'm looking down texting. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing 50 miles an hour. I downshift into third to speed up. Bruh, when I do it, car blows the tires off, stuffed right into the K-wall on the freeway.
Nice.
Total. Done. Now I'm less than, I want to say probably 2 months, I'm 2 cars down.
What?
So you know when it came to the SC, I'm like, I'm about to come back hard. Because everybody's like, he tearing up all this shit.
But that car was an iconic car because that was the one that pretty much put, that's the video I saw of you drifting through the streets.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the streets wherever you were drifting at are like so narrow and there's cars everywhere.
Yeah.
Like the
that's
way
the hood. That's where we're from.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
so it's like when I saw that, I was like, there's no fucking way this guy's really doing this shit. Like that is insane to be doing that on the street like that. But that's pretty much one of your biggest videos, right?
No.
Early on,
because it was the first video I posted. So
right.
When I made the YouTube, I wanted to do it like strategically. Since I knew that video hit on Facebook, 2 million views in 2 weeks, I was like, I know this is gonna do good on YouTube. It's a Kickstarter. So it's like I didn't want to start the YouTube with just like, all right, here we go, 300ZX bill coming. I was like, I want it to be a Kickstarter. I'm like, I know for sure this video is gonna pull in views. And at the time I was like, I don't care if it's gonna be controversial or not. I'm like, it's dumbed down enough to where I'm not gonna really necessarily get in trouble, but it's still hot enough to where it's like, oh shit, he can drive.
Right.
So that's why I had did it that way, and then started throwing the 300ZX stuff in with the new build and the SE. But yeah, going back to the drag racing stuff or even the straight line fast stuff, it became with the SE. Right. It was like, all right, this car makes 600 horsepower. And it was like, you racing vets and stuff. You're like, it's pretty quick. And then people started liking the content. They're like, oh, we like the SE. I'm like, I've always been a Jay-Z fan though. That's why I did the Jay-Z in that car. Right. Like the dream was 300ZX, FD, and Supra. The closest thing to a Supra is the SC300. You know, it's the Supra with the tuxedo, poor man Supra, whatever people want to call it. exact same chassis. You don't get no closer to a Supra than the SC300.
Right.
So I had already knew like I'm doing this on this car. I'm going all out because this is gonna be my closest thing to a Supra without me, getting hit on the taxes on it. Mm-hmm. So when people were vibing with it, I was like, all right, 600. And then you had those vets that were making like 7. I'm like, I can make 7. If I make 7, I know I can keep up with these. Like NA vets, Z06s, like I'm walking this. But when it came down to like, oh shit, here go another supercharged vet. like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have some problems with this one. So no one likes losing.
Right.
So I was like, all right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw some cams on here. I'm gonna throw a bigger turbo. And it, like, mind you, this was an unopened 2J at first, making 630. Back then, again, we're talking 630 like years ago, which would be fast in today's time. Before, all the 1320 videos, everything's 1,000 horsepower. So
like 6-7 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, this is a while ago. So now I'm like, all right, let's throw some cams on here and let's throw a bigger turbo at it. Like, forget it. Now the car, I think when it got back on the dyno, it made 870 or something like that.
870.
Yeah, 870 at the floor. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be fun. But my tuner already was like, it's going to break. He was like, we got to ramp and boost. But, me coming from drifting, like, I don't want my torque curve like to getting flattened out just to save the rods. I'm like, I want everything it has. So, because I was drifting and, racing at the time. Like, it was like one of those things where it's like, all right, this is going to be a universal car. It's going to do both things. Yeah. And to this day, I still build cars the exact same way. I can take any one of my cars and go slide it, or I can go take it and drag race it.
But just changing the tires, or just like the way it is, no matter what?
So I know a lot of people, like, they care about being the fastest, so they'll put, radials and everything on. When I took this thing to the track, I ran it on 20s. My SE has never seen a drag radial. The best tire I put on the SE was a R88.
Wow.
So, like, I'm a firm believer, and I want to run my car the exact same way it is on the street. That way I have accurate times on this car does this at the track. This car should feel like this on the street. This is what it does. So I already know if I put a drag radial on here, this car would probably run low 10s, maybe 9s with the new combo that's going on here. But it's like, is it going to be the same way that I have it when I'm going to race somebody randomly that I run into on the freeway? Yeah. So I've always kept things like full street trim and trying to make the best of it. Like, I always wanted my cars to look good and perform good. Like, if I'm gonna lose a little bit of traction, I didn't care. I wasn't scared of losing traction because, like, it's fun to me,
it's fun to you, right?
Like, I've had my SE broke loose, like, went between like 2 different lanes at 125 miles an hour. And it was just like, all right, little simple counter steer. All right, we back straight. Let's stay in it. So, people be like, oh, that's crazy. But from a wow factor on YouTube, when people see a car breaking traction at 130, they're like, yo, this dude's crazy. So, it, at the end of the day, it helps with the content. So it's like, I'll let it spin.
Do you think that, I guess, your handling of cars as far as like drifting and losing traction and being able to take care of that comes from your upbringing as far as what you've seen to make you want to get into this drift world? Or like, because from being from Oakland, I'm assuming this was like something popular, at least from our perspective.
Two different things
as far as like sliding or drifting. So when did that play any course of you like growing up and learning to drive?
Not at all. So I guess they call them takeovers now. But we refer to them as sideshows. Sideshows in our era were completely different from the takeovers now. Like, sideshows originated in Oakland. The first sideshow, however people want to look at it, you can go Google it, started in Oakland. And the way sideshows were they were more so like shows. You go sideways and clean cars. It wasn't like you get your bucket Corolla and you go out here and swing it and hit a bunch of cars or hit people or whatever. It was basically you pull up at some clean shit, you showing it off, everybody's out there vibing. It was like a block party almost. So, the roads would be blocked off by people. People would have nice cars out there at the time. It would be like Cougars, Mustangs, whatever it was. And people would get in the circle and do donuts while showing off the car as like a display. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, my shit's clean and I'm sliding it. But for me, as a kid, I would go to the sideshows. I stopped going to the sideshow when one of our partners got killed. They shot up the car, and after that, like I said, every 10 blocks is a different hood, and we all in the car, and car gets shot up type shit. So after that, we stopped going to sideshows. But when it came time to get into drifting, it was like completely separate. Like, when people bunch drifting and sideshows up together, like, I hate it. Like, I hate it. A drifter can go out there and do a good sideshow. A sideshow driver can't go to the track and drift like a drifter. Yeah. Like, I see so many people that come from sideshows and that'll try to drift and can't link a course. It's like, it's two different driving styles.
Do you think that that can help if they do want to get into drifting? Like, that's a good way to kind of get comfortable with the cars?
For sure. Like, I feel like donuts are the basics of drifting. Like, if you can do, like, the way I started was doing donuts. I'll start doing donuts, and then all right, I got the donut down. I can go tight, I can go wide. All right, now I'm reeling out first gear. Let me try to do a second gear donut. Second gear, I need to be going wider because if I'm tight, it wants to, loop around real quick. Let me do wide donuts in second gear. Okay, now I'm doing wide donuts. All right, let me stay in second gear and see if I can do some figure eights. The moment you start being able to do wide figure eights, you have the concept of drifting down, because it becomes a pivot act. It's the hardest part of drifting is catching the weight transfer. Once you understand the weight transfer and how it feels when you going from this motion to this motion, it's like dancing. You're like, all right, catch it here. Yeah. Now I'm sliding. All right, catch it here. There's a pivot point. There's a sweet spot between I'm understeering and now I'm oversteering and looping around. Once you figure that out and feel how the car feels, drifting becomes easy. So it's like you have to figure out that pivot point, but doing donuts will teach you that. Only difference is now you have, when you're on track, it's like, all right, I got to get to this clipping point. I need to make it from A to B right here with enough angle and enough speed. If I come up too slow, I'm not gonna make this clip. I come up too fast, I'm gonna blow through it. And if the clipping point is a wall, now you're gonna hit that shit.
Right.
So it's just a matter of being able to figure out the speed and proximity on setting the car up to get to where you have to get to.
Is this similar to the feeling when you get in a car that you're not familiar with, like a stick car, a manual car, and you kind of have to figure out what that point is with the release? So can you get in any car and kind of figure it out and do donuts, or you have to have it set up for that?
So what y'all seen earlier when I was sliding that was my first time ever even driving this car. My first time driving this car. I've never even moved this car out of the shop.
What?
So the moment you pop the clutch, you like, see, when I first did it, it didn't want to kick out how I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. But once it kicks out, I'm like, all right, cool. Positi's it's locked up. I'm like, all right, cool. This is what the car wants to do. All right, perfect. Once I figure out the pivot point on it, then it's like, all right, easy. I'll do some tight donuts first, and I'll just start going wider, because now I know how the car feels. I know how far I can push this angle. I know how fast I can accelerate. That's why you see at first I'm like low RPM, trying to figure out where the grip level was. Then it's like, all right, cool. Like now I know the car won't spin here. Let me give it more throttle. All right, now I'm gonna play with the rev limiter. I'm gonna hit the rev limiter just for the acoustic effects of y'all watching and people like hearing the limiter.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. We literally witnessed that like in real time without even knowing. And actually it's up on the screen now because we were recording it. So I'll put it up on the screen while you're talking about it. But that's fucking dope. I didn't even know that was your first time driving that shit, bro. You made it seem like it was like
piece of cake.
I feel like I can jump in any, like I've driven enough like cars to where it's like, give me 2 laps. Like if we're at a track and I'm drifting the car, give me 2 laps, and by the third one I should be able to know what this car wants to do.
Does it matter if it's auto or manual though?
I'd prefer manual, but I can still slide auto. I drifted my truck. I took my truck to a full on drift event. I was out there sliding a big ass truck. Like
what?
Yeah, I'm like, all right, this is what the truck wants to do. All right, cool.
So can you give the viewers or listeners any tips on what they should have on their car mechanically to kind of be able to kind of do what you do?
For drifting?
For drifting, yeah.
Drifting is simple, man. You don't need a lot. Drifting, if for a beginner, you can weld the diff. You can have a Corolla. It doesn't matter about the power. Like when I started, I didn't even have shocks or nothing. I had like stock shocks. I think I ended up cutting the springs on them, and I had a welded diff.
I've been there.
So, it depends. Like you want to be like, all right, this is fun. I'm enjoying the time. You can just put some coilovers on there and make sure you got an LSD that locks up, and that's all you really need. You don't need a lot of angle. I want to say my Fox body is the very first car that I've drifted with angle. So all those videos y'all seen with my 300ZX, that car never had an angle kit. That was stock angle, and stock 300ZX have the worst angle ever.
Really?
Yeah, that car had no angle mods.
So when you talk about angle, what do you mean?
What is that for?
Steering
like
angle.
basic,
so increasing the radius on how far the wheels will basically turn.
And it's not necessary unless, I mean, if you're a skilled driver, you can make it work with whatever. But how does it help you when it comes to drifting?
Oh, angle is like the cheat code. Angle keeps you from like spinning out. It's almost like a pivot point. Let's say if I'm balancing a broom this big, me doing this on that broom like this, trying to keep it up, is going to be harder versus me having a broom this big. Like it makes it easier to balance it.
I never looked at it that way, actually. That was a pretty interesting analogy.
It's a balancing act. Yeah. And a lot of things that play part is like wheelbase also. Like if you see now when it comes to American drifting, a lot of people are running cars with like at least a 105 wheelbase. Camaros are, or not Camaros, but yeah, Camaros. You have people drifting Corvettes, Mustangs. All those cars have at least like a 105 wheelbase. The longer the wheelbase, the easier it is to balance it and pivot that car.
So a shorter wheelbase, like let's say an S2000 or a Supra.
Hard,
right?
When have you ever seen an S2000 really be competitive in drifting? They're Same snappy. For a Corolla.
Yeah.
Corollas, even when Mike Myke, who's a pro FD driver, when he had the what was it, the Miata with the freaking four rotor?
Yep.
Like that car was super fast, but it just didn't perform well just because the wheelbase is hella small.
Is there anything you can do to combat that, to make sure like
angle, but it still makes the car super twitchy. It's hard to balance out like a square versus a rectangle.
Right.
Would that be why guys might do like wide body kits and like, I guess, try to change the wheelbase with a different offset wheel? Does it help at any?
I mean, it depends on the car. Like S chassis, you'll see them super wide, but they're also not 100 anything wheelbase. They're like 90 something as far as the wheelbase goes on S chassis. But S chassis have like they're super light, and nowadays you have Wisefab, which like makes it almost impossible. Like you can crab walk that car. If you turn that car fully sideways, pop the clutch, the car will literally go sideways. So it's like it's hard to spin out with cars like that. But when people wide body those cars, the reason why they're doing it is because with the Wisefab, it's going to push the wheels out probably like three inches on both sides. So if you don't have a wide body, you're going to look like a tractor.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend as a first car for somebody, to get into drifting?
Today's market,
yeah.
I would say easiest car to slide is probably like a 350Z.
350Z. That's the most common one I see, yeah.
300 horsepower. It already has the LSD. You can put coilovers on it and just slide. Slide it with the 17s on there. 18s, the LSD might not lock up. 19s, it for sure, ain't going to lock up on you. Plus, you ain't going to have the power to really keep it going. So, 350Z, second gear with some 17s on it, you can slide that thing all day.
G35, similar? Or
same thing. They're exact same car.
Same car, right?
Yeah, so G35, but I think a 350 is a little easier to get.
And should they get a manual or auto? Or what do you think?
Manual. I feel like if you're gonna be drifting, I would always do manual. You need to be able to control RPMs. You need to be able to clutch kick, so stuff like that.
So in with today's society and everything, with the cars that are coming out, BMWs, and obviously being able to make power with those cars, do you see a lot of those cars drifting, or even at those events where they can drift with the automatic car?
I mean,
at all?
Yes, it depends on how competitive you want to be, though.
Okay.
So if you're like going out there, like if you give me an automatic BMW, I'll go out there and slide it. I bet you I can link a course, do donuts in it, whatever. But am I going to be able to be like, all right, I'm going to take this automatic car with paddle shifters and go compete in FD? Like, it's not going to happen, like on a professional level. Or are you going to go to like a full track day to where you're trying to tandem with people? And, it's not going to happen. Also, you need to be able to like control transmission speeds. So let's say like the car wants to, you're in the middle of a turn, the car wants to shift. And if that thing shifts up hella fast, now it ramps up your wheel speed hella fast. Like drifting, there comes a point to where too much wheel speed will spin you out. It's like a balancing act. Like even if you have a lot of angle, if I'm full throttle and my wheel speeds are 120 miles per hour and I'm going 60, the rear end wants to overpower the front. And now you have people that spin out. You ever see people like even at takeovers, like people will be doing a donut and then they come around hella fast whip and then you see hella smoke. It's because they have crazy wheel speed and they caught up with the front end, and that's what loops you. Even before YouTube, man, I was drifting way before I was on YouTube. So it's like, like I said, my first video was a 300CX video, but I had already had the S13 and everything before then. Right. So if we're fast forwarding it, like a lot of people that are familiar with my channel, like they came in during the SE time where I'm like, building a car that's making 900 horsepower or whatever. So they got locked into wanting to see the SE go fast, where here I am in the background waiting to finish this 300ZX so I can get my ass back out drifting. Yeah. So that's how, that came about. Like my channel at heart is supposed to be purely drifting. It just turned into what it is now based on, the success of the channel and just how everything just rolled out.
Do you feel like a lot of your views are from like content that the audience wants to see, basically, aside from just like what you wanted to, because you started up doing drifting stuff, and normally when you start content, you do what you want, and then when you start getting people watching your stuff, they start, like, even for me, we're here. I'm here because people want to see you on the podcast. So do you feel like that's how your content kind of shifted towards?
Nah, I've always stayed true to like, I'm doing what I want to do. Like I've never been like, I'm gonna buy this car because it's popular on YouTube. If that's the case, I would have went out and bought a Hellcat. Like Hellcats and Scat Packs, they do hella good on YouTube. Right. But I was like, oh, that's not something I wanted. Like for a vet, when I got my C5, it was a car that my grandfather wanted. Like granted, I've always liked vets. C6s is like, I've always loved them. But my grandfather wanted a C5. He was actually gonna go purchase one, and then a few months later he ended up dying from lung cancer. So that's how my C5 build came about and stuff like that. But I usually grab cars and do things that I want to do. Like I don't have one car that I'm like, I bought this because I want to make content on it. Right. Everything I get is because I like this car. I want to keep it. Like you rarely ever see. That's why I got so many cars. Like I don't build a car and be like, this didn't do good for YouTube. Let me get rid of this one.
Yeah.
Let me sell it. Like if I'm building something, it's because I've wanted it or whatever. So all my builds are like, to me, special. So that's why you rarely see me like get rid of one of my personal cars.
Right.
And if I do, it's because I'm getting something else. Like I got rid of my C5 to get my Viper. Like that was my dream car. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna sacrifice this one, but it's gonna be for the greater good type of shit, you know? My G35, I got rid of my girl's G35 and I bought my C6. So it's like anytime I'm getting rid of something, it's because I got a better plan for something else that I really wanted more than I wanted that car.
Right.
But as far as like content, I just make content like my shit's like everyday life.
Yeah, that's why I like it. It's just you kind of leave a lot in there. You don't cut too many things out. It's not like 7-minute video of a bunch of shit, just jump cuts. It's more of just like
I try to do it play by play.
Yeah.
Like that way people are like, if you're new to my channel, you got to like go back and look and be like, all right, this is what happens. Because there's rarely ever times where I do like hey, here, building my vet in 10-minute video. Like I don't do those. Like you gotta be familiar with it. Like, oh, how do we get to this point? But I keep everything in playlists, or if you knew, you just you go look at that and see from start to finish on how the car got there.
Right.
So it's like I kind of cater towards people that are already been there, people that are always tapped in. Like I don't do a bunch of, hey bro, make sure y'all like and subscribe, man. Y'all gotta come check out the channel. I don't say that in like rarely any of my videos. It's like if you gonna jump on board and be part of the fam, you're gonna do it organically.
Right.
Like I've never asked people like, hey, can you shout out my page? Can you tag this for me? Can we do some trade work or nothing like that? I just let everything happen organically. If people vibe with the channel, it's like either one of those things, you're gonna either love it or hate it. But as far as like I want to do this for content, like it was never my plan.
Do you recommend that for someone who's trying to get into YouTube to just do their own thing, don't do shit for content?
100%. I feel like when you do things for content, you kind of run out of ideas. Like if I was to grab a camera and vlog every day, I could do it because it's everyday life for me.
Yeah.
Like every single day I'm doing something with my cars. There's times where I'm doing stuff and I don't even vlog. Like today, I could have made this into a whole video.
Yeah.
But I didn't pick up the camera like, oh, I'm about to go drive through here through the storm. When I leave here, I'm going to check out my Fox body. It could do a Fox body update. But every single day I'm doing something regardless of what it is. So when people are more gimmicky, it translates. People start feeling like they're not relatable. People can picture out and weed out bullshit.
Right.
So for mine, it's like, what you see is what you get. Like if you don't like it, hey, I can't do nothing about that, man. I gave you the best of me. This is me right here, 100% me. If you don't vibe with it, cool. It ain't for you. So for people that are watching and want to start YouTube, my thing is just be consistent and be you. Don't go out here and be like, oh, this person did this. Like that shit ain't gonna work. What works for everybody ain't gonna work for you, or what works for somebody else ain't gonna work. You gotta just kind of let everything happen, put stuff on the internet and let the internet do what it's gonna do with it. There's no right or wrong way to go viral or anything.
I think a lot of it has to do with patience also. People don't want to wait to get there, and they don't want to, they want to get things done like right away. They want the views and everything, and they don't understand that it's going to take years. I mean, I shouldn't be seeking because like 6 months in, this channel kind of blew up, but it's not because of me. It's because of the guests I have on the podcast, and a mixture of other things too. But for the most part, in a vlogging sense, it takes time. You can't just get on there and just blow up and have 1 million followers or something.
And not to like put nobody, like everybody doesn't have everybody thinks like, oh, I built dope stuff. I can, I can make vlogs. I can get paid for this. Like, nah, having cool shit is part of the battle. You got to have a personality that people can relate to. Like you just got to be a natural at it. Like I don't script shit. Like I see people that are like, oh yo, we're gonna practice our reaction when we see this. You be like, bro, like y'all do that? Like like what you see is what you get. Like I ain't never been like, hey bro, like I'm gonna walk back out, but when I come in, I need y'all to be doing this. Like never, not one time have we done that.
Yeah.
Like everything just natural and organically happens.
I think that's why most of your viewers kind of gravitate more towards your content because of that. Every video, even the most viral ones, are just very genuine. From your dad,
even like my dad. Like my dad a ride in the SC. That wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh damn, like I need some content. Let me go.
Yeah. It was like raw, unfiltered, like
it was on the iPhone.
Yeah. Just like,
back then.
So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that you have like a very loyal fan base that just like we were talking about earlier. Anything you post, it's very, they just want to, they're doing it for you, not so much, what's the next gimmick that you're gonna put out. They just really fuck with you. And
that's the type of fan base you want.
Yeah.
Like you want people that are tapped into like you. Like at first you had people that were tapping in with like a specific car. Whereas now I've went so far from like JDM to now it's like we got American cars mixed in to where now it's like a variety. Like some people, they couldn't transition from like, all right, I'm full JDM to now I'm like mostly American cars.
Yeah.
The following would fall off or whatever. People wouldn't vibe with it. Whereas now it's like I have so many different cars and people are still around. Like the channel is still constantly growing. Like my old thing was I was like, oh man, people were here for the 300ZX. Then I was like, oh man, people were here for the C6, or people were here for the SE. Whereas like people were just there for everything.
Yeah.
And that's the type of content and or those are the type of followers that you really want. Like I hate saying the word fans. I don't like addressing people as fans. Yeah. Like people that are supporting you and taking time out to watch it. So for me, I'm hella passionate on it because like my upbringing, my shit's from the mud. Yeah. I didn't have a head start. So, the YouTube stuff taking off for me was like literally what allowed me to be able to, take care of my family, get my granny out that hood where you see me drifting through and stuff. She lives with me now. So if it wasn't for YouTube, God knows how long it would have took. I definitely would have had to try to figure it out and get to the same point. But luckily, from people watching and supporting the channel, it just happened a lot quicker.
Right.
So I'm grateful for that. We always consider people supporters versus fans.
Definitely, of course. Definitely.
So when you switched from Nissan to you had the SC, right?
Yeah. Now
you have LS, right? You're into American cars. So how did that transition happen?
Ah, man. So this was like for sure like the ice cube in the water. It was just like, what? Like, ooh, it was like a shocker because I had already considered going LS1 at that time. This is before really LS3s are even known. Like the next thing was LS2s. This is how far back we go. Wasn't no LS3s yet. Or if they were, you like you couldn't afford that.
Right.
So I go to a Volvo dealership. They have an LS there. I buy an LS1 from this guy that works at the Volvo dealership, and I'm getting ready to put this thing in my 240. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm tired of these SRs blowing up. And then somebody hits me after I post. I'm like, oh, I'm going LS. This dude blew up his F-body motor. He's like, hey, bro, can I buy the motor from you? I just blew mine up. I'm like, damn, I just got it. But I'm like, I'll start, weighing the numbers. I'm like, it's going to be kind of expensive to put this thing into a 240.
Yeah.
So I ended up selling him my motor, build another SR. And then I got into the whole 350Z stuff. So I get into 350Zs. Going back a little context on 350Z. 350Z was a car that I wanted hella bad. This OG that I had met just being in West Oakland, he had a 350Z. He would be coming to the shop that I would go to all the time as a kid. He had a supercharged 350Z. And I think that thing probably made like 4 something at the time. Back then, 400 was like, oh God, this thing is running. So it was a supercharged DE. And after riding that car, I was like, I want a 350Z. I want a supercharged 350Z. So that was always on my bucket list. Is like, I want a supercharged 350. So when I got my 350Z, first thing I did after, wide bodying it, getting everything set up, I supercharged it. I went through 3 motors, bro. 3 motors. After, I want to say my third motor, after my second motor, I got a built one. I'm like, it's game over. I got a built DE, baby. We got forged pistons, rods, head studs, everything. This ain't blowing up. I got rid of the weak link, which is the rods. I'm like, we golden. Dude, first pull on the dyno, I'm pretty sure this is when it blew up. First pull, I see the radiator cap shoot up. I'm like, oof. I'm like, oh, that wasn't good. After that, we're changing plugs, everything. Like, it never ran right. So put a stock one in, it blew up. So now I'm 4 DEs in. I'm like, bro, I'm over this. I hate it. I'm like, this is the worst idea ever. I'm about to go LS. I want a simple 500 horsepower in a car so I can drive it to work. Because I was driving that thing to work. I was taking that thing to Walmart doing security there. Like, that was my daily. So when I did the LS3, during the time I was doing the swap, I had bought my C5. And I get my C5, I'm driving around. I'm like, oh, this is hella comfortable. But when my 350Z was done with the LS3, I was like, ooh. I'm like, yo, this is hot. I'm like, it's fast. It was, what did it make? I think 475 at the time with like 450 or 60 foot-pounds of torque. So that and a 350 with the short gears, I was like, yo, I'm hot. So I would have that with the RAAA where it wasn't spinning. That's when I got into digs. Coyotes from digs and stuff at lights, like walking stuff. I'm like, boy, this is the one. Then I get my C5s at the shop now. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do my tribute to my grandfather. I'm about to supercharge this and all kind of stuff. End up supercharging it. That thing made like 6 something, and it was a hot boy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is dope. So now here we are. I'm like, I really like these LSs. These are so reliable. You can't argue the reliability of it. Right. I've been dogging this thing. I'm driving it to work. Gas mileage is good. It won't blow up. I'm like, So in my head, I'm like, always wanted a C6. I'm like, if I'm gonna get a C6, it has to be a LS3. I found this one behind us. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this. We end up doing the head cam package here at Saxby Shop. Car made, what was it, $476 at the time. Drove it for like maybe a year, and it was, you know, solid. I'm like, all right,
no issues, reliable.
Nothing, no issues, bro. I drove to SoCal, you know, 6-hour trips, nothing, 0 issues. I'm like, I love this car. So fast forward, I come here, I'm like, yo, talking to Alex on her Saxby Shop. I'm like, bro, let's supercharge it. Like, how much, you know, to get the supercharge and everything. And, you know, he now at this point, he already done built me a car. My C5's here. He hates because we're having, we'll go back to the C5, but C5 and C6 are both here. So C6 is going like a charm. Everything's going perfectly fine on that. We ended up doing the supercharger on it. Mind you, when the C5 was done, it was a fully built stroker motor. Like everything you can do to LS, it was an LS2. LS1 had already blew up. I have an LS2 block. Now it's stroked out to a 402 stroker.
Okay.
Heads, cam, same supercharger as the C6. C5 makes 720 horsepower. So I'm like, this is like cool. Like whatever, you know, it's right. Whatever. We do the same thing to the C6. Stock block, stock heads, BTR stay streak. I already had the NA cam in it. We didn't even swap it to a boost cam. We just threw the supercharger on it with the recommended fuel system that he wanted, which was the Ford Innovation dual pump setup. Thing makes it made 820. So I'm looking like, bruh, I just spent wild bread on this C5 doing the stroker motor, and here this stock LS3 is making almost 100 horsepower more. 100 horsepower more, the exact same combo. There's nothing really different. One's a stroker LS2, and one's a stock LS3 with fucking a cam and a supercharger applied to it. So now I'm like, I you know, we finished the C6. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't need the C5 no more. I'm mad. I'm like, I spent wild bread on here to make less power than this stock LS3. Same tuner tuned it, everything. Like there was no variables in it. So that's when I decided to get rid of the C5 and, you know, continue with the C6. But since then, it's just been like, I went from hating LSs, hating them with a passion. If you knew me prior to my LS days, you'd be like, there's no way. I would talk so much stuff. I'd be on the forums. I bet you I'll walk you in this SR. You don't want none of this SR, bro. I make 500. I don't care how much your vet makes. Your vet makes 530, but you heavier than my little 240. I hated them. I would never would have considered the LS. Then once I got it, I'm like, all right, it keeps making power. It keeps making power. It hasn't broke. And now to this day, it's like, they're still like one of my more reliable cars. My 350, since it had the LS3 in it, now it's LSA. Like out of 11 cars, I think 10 of them are boosted now out of all my cars. I got one NA car, and guess what? That car is an NA LS3 G35. So, no, my truck, even my truck, I got a pickup truck, dude, with a 5.3 turbo 5.3 thing. Last time I was on a dyno, it made 720 with 730 foot-pounds of torque. I don't know how many miles were on it, dude. When I got that thing, the radiator was leaking, had a hole in the upper hose, unknown mileage, dude. It was like bad. We threw, like, I didn't even change the lifters in it. Did nothing. I put head studs, head gasket, and that was really it. Still making power to this day. Like, we're about to turn that thing up. It's probably gonna make like 8 something. Unopened, unknown, doo-doo 5.3.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. You're actually the first like LS person we've had on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't had anybody who.
I wouldn't say I'm really like a LS head.
I'm saying who has a platform that can talk about it a little bit. So, in your experience with these motors, which one do you think is better for like boost? Are they all okay for boost?
Depends.
Okay.
So, if we're talking a goal, if your goal is, let's say 950, let's go 950 to 1,000.
Is that a good amount for these cars, like that you can use functionally on the street to race with it?
Oh, functionally in a vet, 800 is like a sweet spot.
Okay.
Like you see, bro, this car's on 20s and it still hooks. Like racing 1,000 horsepower Hellcats. Like this car has so much potential to be fast. Like the car behind y'all, that car makes 1,000 plus.
So what do all these cars make right now?
So the Fox body, I'm not sure what that one makes currently, but that's a fully built. I'm pretty sure that'll be a 4-digit car. The F body behind you is a 4-digit car confirmed on the dyno. My car with this current setup makes 820, but we're waiting for the heads and everything now, so we're going to be turning that up. If all goes well, I think I might be able to take the ANA factory or the ANA horsepower record, the most horsepower that's made on a T-trim. So I think right now the record's like 863 or something, and I think we for sure going to have that in the bag. So this will be spicy, but dude, like we have the combination right. Like if I want to make 1,000+ horsepower LS3, it would be so simple. Like it doesn't take a lot. We can use the heads that are coming. I can do a forged bottom end. We do a F1X. Alex is plugged in with Pro Charger. I can get that at a deal. Vortec already said they're down to sponsor the what is it? Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out which one it was. The YSI. Like I've already talked to Vortec. They're like, we'll send a YSI over because they're familiar with the car. So I could throw a YSI on here, have their engine builder do us a forged block.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
That's the frame of the.
Yeah, it's a blower. So you have like the SI unit, you have the T trim, then you have the YSI, which is like their big dad.
Okay. So
it's like pretty much like one of the bigger Vortec units because we use A&A, but A&A uses Vortec K units. So a lot of like even Paxson. Remember Paxson? You heard of that brand? Paxson's owned by Vortec. So a lot of these companies, Vortec makes the head unit. Pro Charger, it's its own brand. Right. That's why a lot of people get confused and they call cars. They be like, "Oh, bro, like that car is Pro Charged." I always correct people. Like I'll be like, "Oh, my supercharged Vet," and people will be like, "No, bro, your Vet's Pro Charged." I'm like, "Bro, it doesn't have a Pro Charger on it. It has a A&A supercharger, which is a Vortec. It's supercharged by Vortec." That's like me saying, "Oh yeah, it's Vortec charged," you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, isn't it like this? Like I spoke about this on a different episode, a Coyote episode. Isn't it like nitrous and NOS? It's like it's the same thing, but the brand name is NOS.
It's
but it's the same shit.
Yeah, like Nitrous Express. You be like, "Oh yeah,
Nitrous
my car."
Express, same thing.
Like yeah, oh you're spraying Nitrous Express. You're like, "Oh, you spraying nitrous."
Exactly.
You know?
It's like that kind of thing.
Like NOS is a brand, Nitrous Express is a brand, Pro Charger is a brand, Vortec's a brand. But when people see the unit and they get so familiar with Pro Charger because it's one of the more familiar brands, people be like, "Oh, it's Pro Charge." Like, yeah, it has a Pro Charger, so yeah, it's Pro Charge.
Right.
But if it was a different brand, it'll be like, no, it's supercharged. You're not gonna
say it's Vortec.
Yeah, it's Vortec. It's Vortec charged. It's Paxson charged, bro.
I guess on that same topic, as far as like he's saying which motor you're gonna build, and obviously speaking of the Vortex, which are centrifugal chargers, is there a reason why you may choose a centrifugal charger motor versus like a screw or a Whipple for normal people, or
for sure,
or turbo, so to speak?
So I'm the perfect person to ask this question to because I have all forms of boosted LSs. My truck is turboed. This has a centrifugal, and my 350Z has a root style supercharger. Yeah. So the reason why this has a centrifugal is because it comes to packaging. If you look at Vets, when it comes to twin turbo on them, like you can't. It no longer becomes a daily. Like you can't really street drive it. I drive this car to the gym. I drove it to SoCal. I take my granny to church in it. Like it's a full functioning street car. It has subs in it. AC works, everything. So in that aspect, I didn't want to take away from it being a street car just because I wanted to chase some power.
Right.
Like if the goal for me was like, all right, I want to be 900 max or 850 or whatever, I'm going to do it with a centrifugal. Big enough centrifugal will do that. And it comes in a smaller packaging. The moment you try to make 800 out of a turbo, it's like, yeah, you're going to make that power. You're going to make that torque. But now your radiator setup's stupid. The car wants to overheat. You lose your AC. The exhaust gets ran off funky. So in that aspect, the supercharger makes more sense to do. And then when it comes to root style on Vets, it's like where the window cowl is, it gets kind of hard. Like you can't feel a LSA without cutting it. Yeah. You got Magnuson that makes like their heartbeat and smaller frame superchargers that are specific to Vets, but the packaging is different. Like I would either do a centrifugal or a root style on a Vet. But when it comes to like, if you're like, all right, I want to make 1,000+, I'm obviously gonna tell you to go with the turbo. Yeah, you can do that with like a Whipple, but then you start running to like, all right, you're putting a lot of load on the crank and the pulleys and stuff. Like when superchargers are making 1,000 horsepower, you got to remember that has to run off that crank. You see snouts and stuff break. Like it's a load. Like if it's gonna make a motor making 1,200 horsepower at the tires, that belt is gonna fill that load. It doesn't, just because it's a belt doesn't mean like, all right, it still has a 600 horsepower load or tension on it. Like nah, that thing fills that added power to it. That's why you see snouts and all that stuff breaking. So a turbo is free power essentially. It doesn't require anything. It just uses the exhaust flow to make that power.
Right.
But if it's a car you like, all right, I'm about to just run this, I'm gonna let it cool off, then I'm going turbo all the way. For a max effort build, I'm going turbo. If your goal is 1,000, you can get away with it with a like a F1X Big Dad. Like they got people making like 1,400 on them. But for me, it's like I've had so many nightmares with the VQ being supercharged, where it's like like belts become an issue. Luckily, A&A has like probably the best bracket set up to where I've never thrown a belt on this car.
Okay.
I'm still on a 6 rib. A lot of people go to 8 rib and stuff like that. Like my 350 has a 8 rib with the LSA setup, but this car I still run 6 rib and I'm making 8+.
Are you guys using, because I guess it's different for us, what do you guys consider pump gas over here? Like what fuel do these cars run on?
E.
Yeah, that's my next question.
Okay.
We only got 91 in it, boy.
I was gonna say, yeah, because we got 93, but
Yeah, we don't got 93. I have this tuned on 91 and E. So on E85 or on 91 it makes like 6 something. E85 or the 91 tune has like 10 degrees of timing. It's literally to, if I'm driving from here to wherever and I can't get gas, I can fill up 91 and I can make it there until I can get some E.
Gotcha.
Like it still runs exactly the same. I just wouldn't do no pulls on 91. Granted, it's tuned for it.
Yeah.
It made the power. We confirmed on a dyno. It's just you get a bad my C5, my LS1 motor blew up. Bad batch of 91.
wow.
Started pinging and it was done.
Bad batch of 91?
It just wasn't a high enough octane. Like we tuned it on 91 and it was good. And probably the gas station that I went to probably had a different octane level, even though it was 91. Probably just wasn't up to par, and we got pinging and it just blew a hole in the block.
Damn.
Nothing changed with the gas.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. We had tuned it, everything. We made, it was like 615 on the dyno.
You recommend anyone that's doing this type of work on these cars, and maybe in this area or in general, to move to E?
Hell yeah. Anybody that's trying to like build like, that's just like, let's put it into context. You have a bodybuilder. You're a natural bodybuilder. You're naturally, I'm doing the best that my genetics can do right now.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm only gonna get as good as my genetics.
Yep.
Whereas you ain't competing with some dude on steroids.
Yeah, majority of
That
people
shot in the butt goes a far way.
Yeah, you like, damn, like, bro, this fool he got a 12 pack. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you can't compete with it. It's just like, it's cheaper and it's just a better fuel.
Yeah.
Like the octane level is just so much higher. Like on vets, like the heads and everything are so efficient on the LS3s to where you could, if it's an NA build, you can get maximum timing out of this without having to go E85. Like if you have an NA application, there's no benefits of going E85 over 91. But if you add boost to that, now it's like, all right, we're pinging at 12 degrees of timing.
Yeah.
We can't get that efficiency out of the timing. So now you add E to it. Now you're like, all right, cool. Now I'm at 23 degrees of timing based on the ethanol not making it ping. So ethanol content is important, but it more so comes down to like the octane. If you can get the maximum timing to where the car won't make any more power on 91, then E85 has no benefit. You may see five horsepower at most.
Yeah, minimal gains.
So
is there a lot of E85 stations out here? Because I know in New York there are some spots that everybody knows because there's only ones. Out here, is it more accessible?
Yeah, we got E85 right down the street from the shop. You can go 5 minutes down the street and run to an E85 station.
Yeah, I think
where my house is, I stay by E85 station. I bought my house around E85
on purpose.
When we were looking at the house, I'm like, yeah, we can't move there. You know, E85. Like
Yeah.
E85 is too far away and trying to drive 20 minutes away to get E.
Is the content usually good by you?
Yeah, I
Like
in my-
E70 sort of, or E85?
nah,
pure?
I've had up to 80% ethanol.
Okay.
The highest I've seen was 85%, like full 85%
Full 85,
on my
yeah.
standalone. But after E65, there's no benefits of having ethanol. Like E65 and E85 are going to be like the same octane content, far as like the resistance to pinging.
Right.
There's no real benefit. So like even when people have like E55 and they're like, all right, I want to do full E85, it's like, yeah, there's a benefit if you're at E55 and you can't get all the timing that you want out of that setup. Then you're gonna need that, that higher ethanol content, because now it's like, all right, now we can add that timing without having to worry about that pinging.
Right.
But if you can get everything out of it, it's not gonna really make a big difference. So E85, you want to match it up really with the timing. Timing is what's gonna help. And also if you're adding more boost, like let's say if I'm at 23 degrees of timing, I'm at 10 pounds of boost, and I've done it on E85.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, all right, I'm gonna add 20 pounds of boost, the same timing. Now I need to be for sure like that E85 is gonna be right. You can't do that on 91. 91 ain't gonna that shit'll send your shit to the moon. Like you're blowing up for sure. And that's what happened with the that Z. When it blew up, we're like, I had E85 sitting there. I'm like, all right, let's get the 91 tune done.
Yeah.
And what happened was it was first pull, like no nothing. It was just like send it. They straight sent it, bruh. The combo I had on there was making like 22 pounds of boost, which was like way too much for 91 on that car. that car should have been on E. If that car was on E85, it probably would have made like 700 plus and would have lived. But that first pull on 91 was just like a bad tuning decision.
Damn.
It cost me a motor.
Cost you probably a motor and a lot of time and money
100%. When the radiator cap goes up like that, that's yeah. You like, all right, that thing blew the head gasket. It was pinging. Like
it's a lot of pressure down.
It's a lot of pressure in there.
So you this is the C6 that has the blow off valve setup, right?
Yeah.
This is like the best sounding C6 on
Facts.
on YouTube.
100%.
I know people were there was a couple of comments on that post. It does sound really good though.
Yeah.
Like this is probably, I mean, I haven't heard anything that sounded like this.
Which blow off valve you have?
Now you know I can't give you the sauce. We don't have about 100 of these things.
I'm gonna tell you.
I'm
gonna tell you why. Because like I've been wanting to Vortex my car, and I'm like, I found videos. I'm like, if I watch a video of your car, I'm like, yo,
it's loud.
Fuck, this shit sounds good.
This shit is loud though, bro.
Yeah, no,
like,
I wish we didn't have the freaking it taken apart. I'll let you hear it. It's hella loud, but it sound like people will hear it when you're going to be like, oh, it's turbo. Like it doesn't have that.
Yeah.
No,
it has
I
like
hate
a whistle.
that noise. Yeah, I hate it. Yeah, yours.
The hint is a dual valve setup.
Dual valve.
It's dual. I got 2 of them on there.
Is that all we're getting?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'll tell you. I'll show you off camera. I'll show you.
That's cool. That's cool.
I got you. I'll give you the sauce.
Because to be honest, like not even just to like the Vortex aren't really popular, and I would say like the guys who only, like you said, people only know of Pro Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
So Vortex trying to go in the backlane, especially like in the Mopar world, no one's doing no Vortex. So I saw a Vortex. I was like, yo, you know what I want to do? This is different. And then I was looking at the blow up valves. I'm like, I want this shit to sound good though. Like,
yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy is I had because you're saying that with the Mopar stuff. The reason why they probably aren't doing it is because the Hellcats offered on the root style.
yes.
But there was in Oakland down the street, I would always hear this car like whoosh. I'm like, what the fuck is that? So one day I heard it, I ran outside and caught him. It was this dude going down the street to one of his boys. It was a Charger, but it had a Pro Charger on it. And he had the tile blow off valve and everything. It made like 870.
Yeah.
It sounded hella good with the centrifugal on it. So I mean, people do it, but I think they get more into like I want it to sound like a Hellcat. Let me throw a root style on here.
I think that's what everyone does. And I wanted to be different because mine is not a Hellcat, so I don't want it to sound like a Hellcat.
Yeah, facts.
You know, I want it to be its own thing. So it's very interesting. We'll definitely have to talk about that later.
he trying to swagger jack my POV setup.
It's a different lane.
It sounds good. So I'm not. Most people know that I'm not an American car guy, but I like to learn through people who have been building the cars, and that's one of the things that like I love about this car is the way it sounds, and that's something that like makes me interested in learning more about the car and the platform, because it's like, all right, how did you make it sound like that? And then you start learning more things about the platform.
Yeah.
So you also have a Fox body as well that sounds really good that you drift with as well, right?
Yeah, and see the way I get my cars to sound different because a lot of American companies, like people that are into American cars, they do American shit.
Yeah.
Whereas like, all right, I'm gonna throw this JDM blow off valve on this car and we're gonna see how that sounds. So I start playing with sounds and mixing, because I'm not. People think because I did the American motor in my JDM car, they're like, oh, you love American cars now or whatever, because I got the vets. Whereas now, like my 4-rod that I'm building, I'm putting a built 2J in that car. So I'm not loyal to a brand when it comes to, do I like LS's better or do I like 2JZ's better? I'm pretty at this point, I'm like 50-50 on which one I like better.
Right.
Like I don't prefer one over the other depending on what the application is, because everything serves a purpose.
Right.
Like if I'm building a LS3 aluminum block, I'm not going more than like 950. 1,000 is going to be pushing it because the aluminum blocks are weaker. If I'm trying to build a 1,000 horsepower LS, I'm going with the iron block. I'm going to get a 6.0, I'm going to stroke it, and I'm going to throw a boost at it. Or you could do the same thing with a little 5.3. 5.3, my boy makes 1,200 horsepower out of a 5.3 with just a ring gap. So the iron blocks are going to be stronger, but I would say no more than 1,000 on LS3s. You can make it, but the block becomes an issue.
An issue.
The issue is just it being an aluminum block. It's a different stress level.
Right.
So, after 1,000, you on borrowed time. That's why you see a lot of people that are making power residual with the 6.0s iron blocks or dart blocks or whatever.
Right.
But you can make them with that. So if I'm going for like my SE, that thing's going to be probably roughly about 1,200 horsepower when it comes out, with potential to be 1,500, 1,600.
Yeah.
That's what we spec'd it out to do. So if I'm going for like, all right, I want a big power build, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go with this 2J. Like my SE, it's gonna be my fastest car. It's 2J. Like I would never put a LS in a car that I can bolt in a 2J in. So certain aspects, I'm like, nah, I wouldn't LS this car.
Gotcha.
Other cars where if it makes sense, like a 350Z, The LS sits in there a lot lower. It's almost the same weight. It makes more power. It makes more torque. Gas mileage is better. It's way more reliable, and it made it a funner car. Then it makes sense to do it.
Right.
So even my Fox bodies, I almost was going to LS swap those, but then there was always a myth and a rumor like, oh, the 5.0 blocks crack after like 500. You get 500, they crack. Don't raise the limiter. Don't hit the limiter. It's going to break. Dude, my green Fox, I've taken it to a few drift events. I don't even know how many. Sat on the limiter. It's boosted. Everything people said don't do, I've done, and that car still hasn't broke. Last event I had took it to, I got that thing to 283 degrees, bro. I boiled all the coolant out the radiator, all of it. And I added coolant to it, took it to the track, and I took it drifting this weekend. Car still runs flawless.
What?
Heads aren't warped, nothing. So when people be like, oh, the Fox body gonna break at you on borrowed time, I'm like, bro, I've been dogging this car and it hasn't broke. But it goes back to when people were probably building them trying to make 500 horsepower out of them. They're using boo-boo ass 91 with their email tunes that they had to send in. Yeah. Tune ain't right, car's pinging, and now you got a hole in your shit. Mm-hmm. It's like now that you're on E85, I don't think you have those same weak points. It's like, all right, the car isn't pinging, so now we know that this block will do more. I'm seeing people make 650 out of a stock block without an issue. So it comes down to the timing. But going back to whether I'd prefer LS or 2J or whatever, it really just depends on the power goal and what I'm trying to do with the car. My first time ever riding a 2J power car was my boy Julian. He had a MK3 Supra with a 2J in it, like nasty. I think this thing made like 8 something. And this was back when I was like, oh boy, 500, I'm whooping shit. So he making 800 on a 2J. Yeah. He out there on 7th Street, which is like the old school drag spot, walking everything. So I rode in that car. I'm like, ooh, I need a 2J. I really need a 2J. Yeah. So that's where, my I always liked Supras. 2Js were like affordable, but you're always afraid of the swap because like back then there was no adapter kits, none of that. Yeah. Like you kind of had to do all the wiring like yourself. There was no nothing. So at the time when I first did my SE, we used a factory harness and made it up with the other ones. Like it looked like spaghetti, but like, hey, it works. It starts. Yeah. Wow. Now it's cleaned up. We got the Wire Specialties harness on there. R8 coil packs and shit. Like everything's super clean. Engine base painted. But back then that wasn't really an option.
So I only asked that because a lot of people seem to think like when you do crazy motor swaps like that, like it's like a YouTuber special build, because every YouTuber tries to put like different motor swaps in certain cars and it kind of kills the drivability of the cars. So I'm not sure who started all that, but it's become a thing where like those crazy swaps are only going to be.
Bro, if I listen to what people wanted on YouTube, people were like, "Oh, bro, diesel swap the Viper." Oh my God. Like people want you to do the things that they see on Forza. It's like, bro, I'm not doing that. Like I will never build a car that people want to see. I'm building it because this is something I wanted. I wanted this car. I'm building it for me. This is what I want to do with it. I don't care if you don't like send LS swaps for the 15th time. It's reliable. I like it in this car. This car is going to work. It's going to be fast. It's going to do what I want to do. Yeah. I'm doing it. Yeah. So that's how I base everything off of. The 5.0, I was going to LS swap it. I didn't LS swap it because it was a 25th year anniversary CHP. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep this for it just because it has this motor. But I had already bought the LS swap. And then when I bought my second notchback, which is the wide body one, I was like, all right, this is the one I'm about to LS swap. I got 2 of them now. I'm LS swapping this one. This is going to be the drift car. Cool. Ended up getting a sponsorship through Vortec. Vortec sponsored the supercharger for it. So I was like, oh, great. Like, I guess now I'm going to have a turbo 5.0 and a supercharged 5.0. Didn't do it. Yeah. So now, I still don't have a LS swap Fox body like I wanted to do. I bought my 4i, which is my third notchback coupe. I'm like, all right, here we go. This one, I'm on the twin turbo LS, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm putting a 2J in it. I'm like, God, like I'm never going to get a LS3 swap Fox because I keep doing other things to them. But the same twin turbo motor that I was going to put in one of the Foxes, I'm going to put it in my 6.4. I got a wide body 6.4 build that I'm about to do a twin turbo LS on, kind of like some, you got the Hoonicorn, and I dubbed it the Goonicorn. So
I like that.
My hood build.
So a lot of those viral videos that you've had, well, obviously they were with the cars that you've had, right? But they were at a time where I think a lot of car YouTubers are blowing up from doing reaction videos.
I heard you the ride along king.
Oh yeah, I'm the clickbait king. I be telling everybody, I'm like, bro, I was hashtagging. I was like, the clickbait ride along pimp or some shit. I'm like, ride along pimping out here, baby.
So I think a lot of people, and you already addressed it basically, how the viewers kind of take that kind of content and they say like, oh, what about your girl? Like that's disrespectful.
My BM don't care. So
why you say BM? Why did you say your girl?
Just because I like me saying my baby mama.
Cali thing or?
I always call her my baby mama.
Okay.
Like granted, we engaged. My fiance.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like saying like, oh, my fiance. Like I hate the term fiance. It sounds so long and
okay.
like you be like. Ugh.
I just thought it was a culture thing. I didn't know if it was like a growing up. That's what you guys did.
Nah, I always say my BM. Like she watched, she be like, let's call me his baby mama. So like shit like that. Like, and everybody in the comments would be like, bro, you need to put a ring on that girl and wife that girl. I'm like, it's my baby mama. Like always said, like for me, like not to deviate off topic, but
no.
You know, my thing is like we got a kid now. So it's like having a ring and a piece of paper, what does that do? Like what changes? Nothing changes. We've been together for 14 years. Nothing changes. Like I feel like if we were to go get married tomorrow, nothing would change. It wouldn't feel no different. Like zero. It would be like, all right, now we got combined taxes now or whatever. Like, and she's not in a hurry. Like I did my part. I gave her ring. She ain't not once been like, all right, I'm gonna go sit up this. I want to have a wedding like this. She don't care. Like we, we're already locked in with shit.
Yeah. So is she comfortable with all of the content?
She doesn't care at all. Every video that I've done, she's known about. Like I'm like, hey, I'm about to go do a video today. She'd be like, all right, whatever. Like people would be like, oh, that's so disrespectful. I'm like, why? How's it disrespectful? If you were to see your favorite rapper in a video kissing somebody or your favorite actress or whatever, like would you be like, oh, that's hella disrespectful to his lady or whatever? It's like, nah, at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Right.
So if I know, like when I start seeing OnlyFans pop off and females getting famous off that to where you see the shift, is like, that's why I started doing ride-alongs. I'm like, people are already into the fast cars. I'm like, if I put a girl in this car, I know it's gonna go viral. I already knew. I knew it was gonna be a good series. That's why I do them here and there. Putting girls and getting reactions because females don't ride in a lot of fast cars. Like if I get a cute girl and I throw her in the SC that makes 900 horsepower, her reaction, I'm guaranteed a good reaction out of her because she ain't never been in nothing this fast.
Yep.
She might have dated a nigga that has a ZR1 or ZL1 or maybe a Hellcat at most.
Yeah.
But she ain't never been in nothing that's gonna make like damn near 1,000 horsepower to the floor. So when she gets in this, I'm for sure gonna get a reaction. If I can get enough torque and get this thing to grip up, if I play with the gas, let it spin a little bit and get it to jerk, I can get these motherfuckers to bounce. She gonna be in there enjoying the time of her life. She ain't gonna know they bouncing, but in my head, I'm like, I can't wait till I start editing this. I'm gonna slow this down, and they gonna keep watching it. Anytime I look at the analytics and see those portions of the video, you see the spike. You be like, most viewed part. Be like, look, there they go. You can't be mad at me. I'm not the thirsty one. I'm the one getting the money. Niggas be watching it. Them be the ones that be thirsty. But it's like the analytics don't lie. People are watching the clickbait. And when it came time to buy my house and my FD, that's when I did the most ride-alongs because I knew it was gonna pop. I was like, all right, I'm getting ready to buy this house. I'm about to flood. I'm gonna do a whole series of ride-alongs. I bought my FD, my house, and renovated my house the first month we moved in with ride-along footage. Let's just say that.
And how many views on average were you making?
Those were hitting 100K, almost 100K average, easy.
Every like on a monthly basis?
Yeah, I want to say in the first 24 hours, because after 24 hours, I wouldn't even check because I was dropping another video. Yeah. So after 24, I base mine like on 24 hours. I like to see like a certain number in 24 hours. Same. A realistic number. Right. Like for me, my realistic number is I want to see 24,000 views in the first 24 hours. 1,000 views an hour. That's like, I can do that. Yeah. I see that. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm happy with that. Right. I ain't like, oh, damn, this video didn't do 100K. Like, I don't care. Yeah. It's like at the end of the day, it's like, all right, people are watching. Whatever it's going to do is whatever it's going to do. But I don't base it like, I want this video to do 100K. But when I was doing the ride-alongs, I'm like, this is guaranteed 100K. Yeah. The video with her is like, what? I don't know, a couple million views. Yeah. Yep. I knew it was going to hit. I knew for a fact it was going to hit. So like, it was no doubt in my mind that this video was going to hit.
What was your first like viral video that hit 1 million views aside from that? Because that was more recent. You've had other videos that before that.
The video with my dad.
Your dad?
Yeah. I think that was the first one I did 1 million views when I gave him a ride on my SE. I didn't meet my dad till I was like 21. Wow. Really? I never knew of him. My mom would always tell me like a name and be like, oh, he was into cars and stuff too. I'm like, I didn't care. Like me and my mom ain't hella close. Like I'm close with my grandmother. My grandmother raised me. So in my eyes, my grandmother is my mom. So when, I talk to my mom and stuff and she be like, oh, it's your dad, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, let that shit go in one ear and out the other. Like, I don't care. I don't need this nigga. Like, I'm 19, whatever, 20. He ain't been here this whole time. Fuck that nigga. No. So the conversation came about one day. My brother girlfriend was at the house and she's from West Oakland. That's where my dad, I hate saying that shit. My dad was from. So my mama was saying something. I was like, she said, something. I was like, your mama? She's like, your daddy. I was like, you don't even know who he is. She's like, I do know who he is. His name Tommy. He in West Oakland. And then my brother's girlfriend heard it and was like, you talking about Tommy that live off of 27th? She was like, yeah. She was like, he's still there? And just like, yeah, he's still there. So one day I was just like, I'm gonna go pop up.
Wow.
I went there. It's like late. I'm knocking on the door, porch lights off, knocking. He finally come out. I'm looking at him like, damn, I do look like this nigga. Like, my mom light skinned, so everybody, my whole life, everybody like, oh, you look like your mama. You look like your mama.
Yeah.
But when I see him, I'm like, oh shit, like, I look like this nigga. Like, looking up and down, like, I'm taller than him, but I look like this nigga. So we have the conversation like, yeah, we. He like, yeah. I'm like, that's my mama. She said you my daddy. So it's an awkward, it's an awkward ass conversation.
Movie shit.
Then, like, oh yeah, she didn't tell me and she took you and ran off. I'm like, I don't even care, like, whatever. So we would be talking, we'd be cool. He would tell me about all this old stuff. He's like, oh, I had go-karts and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I was building go-karts, Never met him, but lifestyle was similar. Mm-hmm. Like, he was building go-karts, I was building go-karts. He was building cars, I got into cars, like, without us even knowing each other. So I feel like this shit is genetic. But
yeah. Nah, I believe that.
Yeah, I believe that too. Do you think that him not being around kind of like influenced you to do things that you didn't want to do when you were growing up, or any anger?
Nah, luckily, so I come from an era where, like, my story is like typical Oakland story. Like, there's nothing special really to me about it. I feel like it's like the common story. Mm-hmm. You grew up in the 80s, everybody's a crack baby. The families is falling apart, grandparents step in and take care of the kids, like typical Oakland story.
Right. So
for me, I didn't feel like there was anything missing because I had my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandfather ain't really my grandfather. That was my granny's like old boyfriend type shit. But my grandfather owned a store and my granny used to work there. My grandpa was married, so my granny was like, she was doing her thing. She was side chicking it or whatever you want to call it. They was doing whatever the fuck they was doing. When they broke up, he stayed around. He's like, oh, that's my grandson. So he'd take me fishing and all that stuff. So he was always around. My grandpa, like I said, he was a engineer or whatever, working on ships. So, my grandpa and them had bread. He had bread, but then when we come back to the other side, like, all right, we in the hood. So it would be like, all right, I'm going to school here, but now on the weekend I'm going to my grandpa's house. We still in the hood, but I ain't want for nothing. Like, if I want, hey, Papa, I want to get this go-kart. Let's go.
Yeah,
we going to get the go-kart. Bike gets stolen. We going to get a new bike. Grandpa wasn't playing that shit. So in a sense, it was like everything was cool to where it's like when my grandfather died, it was just like, that was the shocker. But growing up, I never really cared about having dad because it was like, all right, I got my granny and my daddy, and I didn't want to stay with my mama. I seen how that shit was going. I'm like, Like, I went to stay with my mama probably for like 3 years when I was a kid, and I hated it. It was like the worst time of my life. You taking me from where I got go-karts and Super Nintendos and shit to where you want us to clean up all the time and you fussing, you getting drunk. My brother's breaking my nice shit that my grandpa got me because these niggas ain't never had this shit. Yeah. So it was a totally different time, which is like, like I hated it. So when I got the time to move back to my grandpa and shit, then that's what I did. But my freshman year, my grandpa had died, so that was like for me that was like the shift. Yeah, shifted like crazy. My grandpa, like, oh, here you go, $25. Back then, $25 was like shit, like $100. Yeah. I can go get some M&Ms and a Snickers for $1. Yeah, So when he died, it was just like it was hella different. You went from, all right, it's my freshman year, I lost my grandpa. Right. Like and it wasn't like a random just like die. It was like a rough one, like cancer, like the slow shit. Yeah. So I'm going to the hospital. Shit, as a kid, things aren't registering. Things aren't making sense. So, granted, we're in the hood, but everybody around us in the hood. So you don't really know anything outside of that. I go to West Oakland, we still in the hood. Yeah. So you can't know better if you've never seen better. Everything just seems normal. So when my grandpa's going to the hospital, now, mind you, remember I told you my grandma was his, you know, his side piece or whatever they had going on. When this happens, remember he's married. This whole time I've been going over there. His wife knows about my grandmother. My grandmother knows about them. Families are already intertwined, the whole little shit. When he's on his deathbed, it became an issue. Now they're taking the house key. Like it got rough. It got to a point where when he had passed, I had hit a lick on a train. It should be this train that used to go by the backyard. Train got stuck there. It got stuck, stopped, whatever happened. We broke in the train. We took hella shit off the train. I had chickens, all kind of stuff. So now I got her deep freezer full of chickens. So I'm going around, I'm selling them. I'm selling chickens in the hood. Like, hey bro, I got this full chicken, $10. I'm going around, you know, knocking on doors. And it was this one chicken. I'm like, I got somebody to sell it. She comes in there. She's like, oh, that's my chicken. I'm like, this ain't your chicken. I just went and stole this off the train. What you talking about? So I'm grabbing the chicken. She grabs me. I pull my arm or whatever. She falls. She goes and tell everybody I pushed her. So now this family is mad. Like their family. I got my own separate family on my grandmother's side. So big ass thing come about. Now I'm at my granny's sister house, which is 5 houses down from this house where I took my chickens from. They calling cousins and stuff. People were coming over there. Mind you, it's me and my auntie in there. My family is huge, bro, huge. So my auntie, she old school. She got her little pistols. Like somebody running this motherfucker. Like run in here if you want to. She calls my granny. My granny calls my mama and my auntie. And like my family is known. I'm not gonna say too much on camera who like my uncle and shit is, but like. If you in Oakland, you know who my family ties is. Like, it's big. So they come. We got this big ass family feud going. Now that my family's here, like, oh, no one wants to fight no more. So to put it into a context, like once he died, it was like that family was kind of cut off from me.
Right.
But the way my grandfather spent it, he was so thuggish about it. Before he died, and they took the key, I had told him like, yo, they took my house key, whatever, blah blah blah. He gave me his bank card. Had me take everything out of the account, switch it to my name. So when he passed, you know, I had, you know, money to get through high school and all that shit. I messed that money off when I went and, you know, started getting into 240s and stuff. But my granny was smart about it. What she did was all the money that we took out. What she would do was every year she would put it in an IRA account. So it would build interest.
Right.
And every year I'd pull the interest out, or she'd pull the interest out. We go there and I buy school clothes every year. That's how we did it until, you know, I was like, I'm gonna get a 240. I'm gonna take the money out my grandpa got me and buy this body kit. Oh shit, I crashed the car. I need another body kit. But it was different when he died is when I really started like noticing like the change in shit and the quality of life.
Right.
You know, it wasn't no like, oh, let's go fishing. It wasn't no, hey Papa, I'm hungry. It was like, you know, my granny was working. So she would be a manager at Toys R Us. We in the projects or whatever. And, you know, if I want a cereal or whatever, she was getting it. But when it came time to like, oh, we need to buy this, like, oh, well, you know, we ain't got that. So it was definitely a culture shift. And as I got older, that's when I realized, I was like, damn, like, you know, the shit that I thought was normal, I was like, I thought we was good, but it was like, nigga, my granny was struggling to make sure I was cool, you know? So it's like when I'm wanting a video game or whatever and she couldn't get it, you know, you getting mad as a kid, like, yeah, my grandpa used to give me this shit, like, man, shit weak. You know, being a little badass kid. But then seeing what was sacrificed, like, you know, like, damn, like, I don't even remember what kind of car she had. It was like a little bucket, little 5-speed bucket. So when you reflect and think on that, you be like, damn, like the shit that's normal wasn't really normal. Like me living with my grandpa and not living with my mom, you like, damn, I thought that was normal. Like, nah, it ain't normal. So it wasn't until I got older to where I really started appreciating, you know, how everything was going. Like, damn, like now.
Right.
Like reflecting how my life is now compared to what it was, you'd be like, damn, like nobody thought I'd be here. Nobody. Like I didn't even think I was gonna be here, especially doing this. Like if you would have told me like, hey, people gonna fuck with you because you making YouTube videos and they gonna vibe with that, nigga, I would have never believed it. Even when my BM was like, oh, make a YouTube account, I was like, ain't nobody gonna watch that shit. Like I was so like set on like, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. I'm about to get out here and figure out a way to get some money. I never thought I was gonna be from this ever.
That's pretty relatable because I went through the same thing. My grandmother raised me. I don't know if
I was in my grandmother's household.
Oh, see, we granny's babies.
Literally. I mean, she passed away a couple years ago, but like it's very similar.
But now, like when you like when you really take the time, like when you grow up in the hood, you never been out the hood, you don't know nothing. Yeah. It's not until you get older and you start meeting people, you go to their house, you be like, oh shit, like you got 2 stories?
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, you take your shoes off? Like, oh shit, like y'all got like this is carpet?
You got food in the fridge?
You got 2 bathrooms? Like, damn. Like,
all that shit is normal to you.
Me and my brother, she was like, we pallet up on the living room. Like, oh, you got a sleeping bag? Oh, like, damn, this nigga took my corner tonight.
Yeah.
He bought a heater. So, you know, it was hella different. I really, like, I was so oblivious to stuff until I got older.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, and then that's why, like, now I moved out of Oakland. You know, I moved out there, brought my granny with me. Because I was like, when I was looking for a house, my BM was like, oh, get a house over here. I'm like, never. Ain't no way I'm about to be raised in Oakland my whole life and then buy a house in Oakland.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Like, that's not happening. Like, school district sucks. The house might look nice, but then you go 2 blocks down or around the corner, you know, or niggas coming to your shit, stealing your shit. Like, nah, I'm not raising no kid here.
Right.
Like, before I even had my daughter, I'm like, nah, Oakland ain't the spot to do it. I love the culture. I love what, you know, what Oakland did for me, made me who I am. But as far as like living there, raising a family there, like it ain't the move.
It's not the move. Yeah.
Hell nah.
Of course, I have to talk about Fresh because you guys are close.
Yeah, it's my boy.
So how did you guys, are you guys connected through YouTube or you guys grew up together or?
Nah, me and Kicks are, we boys through Instagram. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's hella funny because so the way me and Kicks became cool was.
What year was this also? Just to kind of, you know.
It's been like over the last couple years.
Okay.
We've been knowing each other for a few years. It's been longer than 5 for sure. It's about the time where I had built my SE.
Okay.
So when I had built my SE, Kicks had, you know, a fast ass Z. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know who Kicks was. People would be tagging me on his stuff and vice versa, tagging him on my stuff. Like, oh, race Kicks. And I got to a point where I was getting annoyed with it. I'm like, bro, who is this nigga? Like, who the fuck is this Kicks nigga? I look at him, I'm like, oh, it's a Drake looking ass nigga. Like, okay. And then so at one point, like we were kind of going back and forth. Wasn't nothing like crazy, but it was definitely like a competition thing. Like, all right, like this nigga thinks he's faster than me. I'm gonna walk him, and I'm pretty sure he thought the same thing. To this day, me and Kicks ain't never raced. We've never raced.
That was one of the questions too. Are you ever gonna race him?
We are, but at the time when it came time to racing, my SE was down. Then when I get my SE up, his Z's down. We've never been running at the same time, like all these years. Mm-hmm. But now, like, to be fair, I feel like if I was to take my SE and race his current setup,
right,
which is probably like his fastest unless he's getting ready to do something else, like it wouldn't be a fair race.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't. That car's about to make like 1,200 horsepower. And y'all, you know, people want me to race it versus a 900 horsepower Z, which is a fast Z in its round, but like it's different. When I was making 900 and he was making 8 something, that would have been a fair race.
Right.
But now it's like they want to see that race, was just like, bruh, like that's my boy. Like anytime I go to SoCal, I hit him up, we go out to eat. When he comes out here, vice versa. Like, you know, outside of social media, we chop it up, BS and everything. So I'm not gonna go out there for the sake of a video to be like, all right, I want to embarrass my nigga, like and show people that I'm faster. It's like, he ain't gonna say I'm faster. He for sure ain't.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna say it. You know, it's the pride. Yeah. But like, come on, like 800 horsepower Z versus 1,200 horsepower 2J, like it. Plus that car is like not even gonna be the same car no more. Like before, it would have traction issues. Like I didn't care about it. I'd be like, oh shit, we spinning, cool. I'm about to just drift through this. Mm-hmm. Whereas now we're doing boost by gear, like the whole shebang. Like that car is gonna be a fast car. It's not gonna be the same. Like I lost because I was spinning. Like nah, it's not. Like that car is going to be built for straight line. We going fast.
So so it's a drag build basically.
Still a street car.
Okay.
It's still a street car. I'm gonna still be able to slide it. Like I said, everything I build is still. I want to be able to like, all right, this went fast, but I could take this drifting too.
Right.
Like I've taken it drifting before. Kicks was in the car when I messed up my car. When he had the R8, I had the SE. We were BSing like, oh yeah, I'm gonna run the R8. He came to a drift event with me. First lap in, we finished it. I pulled into the pits, let the car cool off, and the harness melted. It was like 100. It was like 102 that day, and I was sitting there letting the car just idle as I'm pulling it up to the line, sitting there probably for like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
car wasn't hot, but after that run, boy, it melted all that shit next to the turbo. So we didn't even get to run the R8. Me and Kicks have never got to run anything. I went out there. We were talking about, we're gonna run the BMW versus the truck. Like, all right, cool. I'm like, forget it. And it starts raining. Yeah, as we're out there, bro. I'm out there. It was raining. I'm like, are you kidding me? So it's like it's never been the perfect moment for us to really race. And then if he came out here with like the BMW. I'm not about to big dog and bully him like, oh, he out here with the BMW. Like, let me grab the vet. Like, it could have been instances like that, but it's like we both good sportsmen towards like, I don't want to race your slower car. I want to race your faster car.
Right.
So I think now a more fair race would be my 350 versus his 350. I think that those, like, my 350 already makes 800 and it's not all the way done. So if it comes down to where I think his Z probably makes about 8 something.
Yeah.
I know he makes a lot of torque. He don't make LSA torque, but he makes a lot of torque.
Yeah.
So that one would be a better comparison. There's no boost by gear. It comes down to really driver. And I know he has the better drag setup because I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm about to put this shit on 19s with a drag radial versus he's like, all right, I'm doing 17s with a radial. But we'll see how that goes. We're definitely gonna set something up. There was options for us to go to this versus that to do the race. Like Gary commented, I want to say probably like a couple days ago, like, when you come to this versus that. So there's still access to do it. But for us both being like YouTube entities, it wouldn't make sense for us to go on another platform and give up our content to do to do the run. Whereas me and him will make a lot more money if we keeping it blunt to like me versus him on our own channels.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna give you my content when I know this is a hitter right here.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna give out your best single if you're a rapper. You gonna be like, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna sit on this one. I'm gonna drop this at the perfect time. But one of these days, me and Kicks for sure gonna get it in. Like, neither one of us is scared of the other one. It's just a matter of like, all right, when are the cars gonna be ready? Who's gonna drive down? You seen that you drove out here. That's like a 7-hour drive. So
yeah, it was a long drive here in crappy weather. Well,
for Ginger.
Shout out to Ginger.
And my thing is like in SoCal, like the police are hella strict. Like, it's crazy. So it's like, I get caught racing over there. It's like, bro, that's a long drive home. That's a 7-hour drive home. If I get state ref, they take the car or whatever, I got to take a flight back.
Yeah.
And then, his car's on E. He wouldn't make it all the way out here on one tank.
One tank, yeah.
So my car's on flex. I could drive out there, but it's just like, I'm out here.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything happens, I break an axle, I break a diff, it's over.
Yeah.
So I'd have the trailer out there, or he'd have to trailer it. But I don't know. The fans want it. I want to make it happen, but it's not like a big priority. At the end of the day, like, we cool.
Right.
So it's when the opportunity presents itself, then we'll get it cracking. But it's not like I'm about to drop everything, but like, oh, they want to see me in Kicks race, I'm gonna go out there
and then race them. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the BMW he's doing is, it's turned out to be pretty hot. So if I feel like that's a good car and he gets comfortable with it to where he's like, hey, I want to see how this does versus the C6, I will gladly drive this car out there because I know like this has a built trans, built diff. Like, this ain't breaking. I'm not breaking no axle. The 350Z, that thing's like questionable. It just makes so much torque and power down low towards like you do a pull, you be like, like, all right, cool. Like, all right, no axle broke. This, I'm like, I'll send this fully. I have confidence in driving this all the way down there.
Did you get any inspiration from his build at all with yours?
Nah, we got completely different. He has he's a, what you call it, HR. I had a DE when I was building my 350. He told me, he was like, bruh, DE suck, don't build it. My logic was, man, I built 9 SRs. I'm going to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
You ain't going to tell me nothing. I'm going to get it right.
Right.
After the 4th one, I was like, maybe bro was right. I should have just probably did an HR or something. But I wanted to do a supercharged DE that was going to make probably like 750 horsepower because there were only like a few people that were making high horsepower DEs.
Yeah.
And if we're talking in the realm of 350Zs, the fastest 350Z in the world as far as track time goes is a DE. It's not an HR. The fastest one, like all out, is a DE, not an HR. Granted, HRs are stronger, but if we're going to put out bragging rights out there,
D's where it's at.
But HR is definitely the better motor for sure.
Yeah, I was only asking because just the way the car's set up, not like the motors or anything like that, just like the car itself, chassis.
Yeah, his car is set up to go straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of grip. I rode in his car. It's fast.
It looks fast.
Yeah,
His
it's
car
fast.
looks fast as shit.
I want to say he probably
For
has
that
one
car,
of the,
yeah.
Until somebody proves us wrong, he has probably the fastest car. Like, far as 350s go, probably has the fastest 350, like street car.
And where?
In California.
Wow. Damn.
I haven't
big, man.
I haven't seen anybody with a faster Z, and I don't know anybody with a faster Z at the moment.
Do you think that's because it's not really worth putting that kind of the money into it to make it fast? Like
Probably that too. It's probably
Yeah.
better to just LS3 swap it. I'm just saying. But nah, I like what he did because he stayed true to that platform, and that's his market. So you have like the 350 kids that love him. Like his brand is solid. because he's a try hard, HR VQ dude, and that's part of the marketing. That's why his S15 probably one of my favorite cars from him. That thing sounds clean, but it has a HR in it. I'm like, this would have been so much better with an LS or a JZ in it. But for what he does is like, it's a dope build. Yeah. Like, I can't take nothing from it. Like, I really like the car, but I'm just like, bro, you really out here with the when that's like when you had a girl be like, bro, she's a hoe. Like, she let me down, she's a hoe, but all of a sudden she want to be loyal to you. Like, nah, bro, she gonna do you like that. So that's my love-hate relationship with the VQs, man. Like, it just, I put a lot into that relationship and I didn't get nothing back from it.
Yeah.
She, the DE divorced me and took half my shit.
Literally, as you're talking about this and I'm scrolling through the questions, you're answering them as I'm like scrolling. It's about time you stop messing with the junk DE motors. As somebody said.
Bro, that's how I got into the LSs. I wouldn't have never got into a LS if my DE would have been solid. I would have stayed true diehard JDM.
Yeah.
Because I was like, to me, there's nothing gonna be better than a 2J. Like, you can't tell me nothing. To this day, like, a 2J is probably like the best shit ever.
That you've experienced? That you've experienced, or you think in general?
In general.
Well, okay, that's true. We can't even argue that.
We can't argue that.
We can't even argue that.
When people be comparing like the new BMW motors and stuff like that, it's like, bro, y'all comparing a new motor to a motor that's like 25 years old, bro, and it's still relevant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a relevant motor. Like, name something else that's really older than the JZ other than a RB, which is like, if you got an RB, you doing it like, that's fan type shit. You want an RB because of the Skyline name it. You're not doing it because it's a dope motor. You're doing it because it sounds good and it's an RB.
Yeah,
that's it.
But when it comes to like sounding good, making powers, like in that era, what other motors are we talking about? There's no Chevy motor that was good in that era. Like, LS1s are garbage. Like, I hate LS1s. LS1 and LS2s are a waste of money. If we're talking LS, telling you, LS3 is the best bang for buck. I'm taking the LS3 over LS7 any day.
Why are LS1s garbage?
They just suck. The casting on the blocks suck. They're just weak.
But is that like the cheapest way to get into the LS platform? Is that why you're comparing it?
Because when you really break it down and you get an LS, let's say you get an LS1 and now you want to do heads because the heads suck. You want to do a cam. Let's say you spend $5,000 or whatever doing the basic combo, head cam package, whatever. You make 440 horsepower. And that's like a gamble. Sometimes they make like 400, like they're lower on the horsepower number, especially if it doesn't have a high compression. You may make like 420. A bone stock LS3 proven in my boy White Aaron's car, nothing on it. Zero, not an intake, nothing. It has a cold air intake, but no intake manifold, no heads, no nothing. It has the swap kit headers, the 3-inch exhaust that I gave him. That car made 411 at the floor, bone stock. What I see on LS3s with just stock heads, you throw literally a cam in there. A LS3 with a cam, especially a stage 3, is gonna make anywhere from 470 to 500 wheel, guaranteed. You throw long tubes and all that in it, you'll probably be able to tap over 500. If you do a ported intake, you'll for sure be 500 plus. You do heads on the LS3, you can make like 530, 550. Like, an LS3 is nothing like, how back in the day you get a 240, you be like, I'm gonna throw a cold air intake on it. I'm gonna put an exhaust. You're like, oh shit, I gained 5 horsepower. A LS is like a cam, bro. Like, my personal LS3, when I swapped from my 3-inch exhaust to a dual 3-inch with an X pipe with the ported intake manifold and throttle body, I picked up 55 wheel. Like 55 wheel just from 2 bolt-ons. Proven, back-to-back dyno comparisons. So it's like, when it comes to making easy power, LS3 is gonna be like, all right, let me spend an extra 3 G's over what I would have paid for a LS1. Yeah, I'm gonna save on it, because now the car with the same mods or less is gonna make double that power, or let's not say double, but extra 100 over what that would have made. Then it's like, it just doesn't make sense to do an LS1 anymore. Like, I will take an iron block 6.0 over a LS1 and LS2 any day of the week. I'm gonna get an iron block, I'm gonna stroke it out to a 408. I'm gonna throw a good set of heads on it, maybe even LS3 heads, LS3 intake manifold, and then I'm gonna tune it. I know that thing's gonna make like 480 all day long, at minimum. If you're pushing it, you do a higher compression, 5 plus all day long, naturally aspirated. Now you throw boost at that same application, it's over. Now you got a minimum of like, dude, my C6, we couldn't make anything less than like 680 with the smallest pulley, everything on it. My 350Z with timing all the way taken out made 700. Like that was the least we can get it with the 10-pound pulley. We had like 10 degrees of timing in it, dropping fuel pressure, and it was still making 700. Like this car will easily be a 900 horsepower car if I wanted to really push it.
Yeah.
My 350Z has a Texas speed motor, so that thing could easily make 900 plus. It's built to support 1,000 plus, but again, 1,000 horsepower with a 350Z, that makes what, 750 foot-pounds of torque at idle damn near. The moment you touch it, the torque core goes flat. So from 2,000 RPM all the way to 7,000, you have over 750 pounds of torque. Like it feels crazy.
Reliable too.
Yeah, I dog it. Only thing you got to worry about on that car is axles. But if you throw that same power in a Vet, like Vets don't really break shit like that. I broke two differentials in this car. Then I put a ZR1 diff in here, which has better gearing and everything. And it's just like, it's solid. The reason why this car hooks up and works on the 20s is because of the gearing. Like people really don't understand, like, why does this car work?
Yeah.
Like why is he racing people on drag radios and he's on a 20? It's a 345, like put it at that, it has the width. Yeah. But it's still, it's capable of putting it down because centrifugals, the power band is linear.
Right.
It doesn't come on hella hard like an LSA. If this was LS8 or a ZR1, then it would blow the tires off because it makes so much torque down low. Whereas this, you make peak power at peak RPM. So you're not hitting full boost into red line.
Right.
So the power curve looks like it's a naturally aspirated curve. It just goes on smooth. There's no spikes in the power. That's why with centrifugal cars, it's easier to put the power down. There's not a brute force of like overwhelming torque all at once like you get with a turbo or a root style. Like a turbo, like, all right, lag, hit, tires get blown off.
Yeah.
Root styles, the moment you touch it, like my 350, bro, it's like first, second, third, fourth. If I romp that shit, like, nah, you blowing them off. And that car has 305s on it, so I'm getting ready to swap it to a drag radial, but realistically, that car should be on like a 15-inch conversion if I really want it to work. But me being stubborn, I'm like, bro, I'm not taking off these deep dish works with 8-inch lips to go put this ugly ass drag pack on, and now my car look like a tractor. That's the difference. Like for me, I don't care if I lose a race. You can be faster than me, but I got this car that I went drifting with my gender revealed my baby in this car, sliding it, took it to a show right after, took first place in modern day Nissan. And it's still a car that I could take and drag down a freeway. Like I want a multi-purpose vehicle. Yeah. Like the Vet, I've took it sliding, I've took it drag racing. Like there's nothing I wouldn't be like, all right, I can't do this in this car. I would take this car autocrossing if I had to. So I like my suspension, everything set up towards like, all right, it does everything well. Granted, it might not do the best on the drag strip because it doesn't have the traction. Mm-hmm. But if I can't put down a 1.3 60 foot, all right, cool. If I could put down a 2.1 and I trap at, let's say 130, 135, 140, whatever it's going to trap at, then cool. I know what the car is capable of doing. If a car traps at 140, I'm like, all right, I know this car is 9-second capable. So what if I can't put the power down? I know it can do it. Mm-hmm. Who am I out here trying to race? Am I out here racing people for money? No. Why does it matter if this car is going to be the fastest thing out here? Yeah. So,
So, with that, like, if you're building the car for yourself, and you said, if you're not outside racing, there's risks that are involved. And as far as like questions that we have from our side, because we look at, the car culture on the West Coast versus the East Coast, to us, you were talking about dealing with the law as far as like if you're going to go mess with fresh kicks, how does that work? Because for us, we have this, analogy that we think that you can't mod your car in Cali because it's going to get crushed or this is going to happen. So what are like the ramifications? What risks are there before you even make it to, even racing or doing anything? You obviously got to build your car, and there's, some steps that can make, I guess bring you trouble. Yeah. And, for us, we don't know what it is. We just see videos of cars getting crushed. So how is it that you can, work through that and how does that even damage the culture if it does in any way?
So as far as the car crushing thing, like I've never seen anybody like get caught doing anything illegal and like, all right, we're gonna take the car and crush it. I feel like that's more like old school rumor myth type stuff. I mean, I know it used to happen back in the day, but I've never personally seen it happen like during my era of modding cars or building cars. Yeah. So far as that goes, like I really feel like it's similar to the East Coast, like with the smog laws and stuff. Like it's hard, but if you know the right people, you can get by it.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And then what I did notice too is like the nicer the car is, the less likely you are to get pulled over. Yeah. Like if you got a car that has hella different colored panels on it, your car has hella camber, it's dragging and scrubbing, it's hella loud, your straight pipe, then they're gonna be like, I'm about to pull this over. Bro, I got pulled over in my 350 You can look through the hood vents and see the supercharger intake, billet throttle body, everything. I'm like, and it was a motorcycle cop. So I'm like, bro, I'm like, it's over. He pulled me over for speeding. I'm like, it's over. Cars chopping hella hard as I'm pulling off the road. I'm like, it's over. I'm getting reffed. He pulls up, he's like, oh, you're doing 80 or whatever, or 85. I'm like, all right, cool. Give him all the information. He comes back. He's like looking at it. I don't know if he thought it was something else, but he was like, what kind of car is this? I'm like, it's a Nissan. He was like, okay, here's your ticket. I thought I was reffed, but the car, it's all wide body. It's painted. It looks like a nice car. So I feel like that has a lot to do with it. Like if you're that's also on run drag radios. They see you out here, big ass fucking tractor tire on the back of it. They're gonna be like,
suspicious as hell. Yeah.
You out here on a bead lock. They're gonna be like, hey bro, like let me holler at you real quick, you know? So like the vet, I've never been pulled over in this. This thing is loud as hell. Like never been pulled over in it.
Well,
like never.
You don't want to jinx it.
I'm not. See, I'm not even tripping. Like for the vet, they rarely get pulled over. Like it's it's that classic American car.
Yeah.
They expect it to be loud. They expect it to have a certain sound to it. Plus, if I got my hood popped on this, everything has carb stickers. Superchargers on vets are carb legal.
Okay, that was going to be another question because I know there's a lot of mods that are carb legal, so that would come into play, I guess. What like you said, so these things have like a label on each.
Yeah, but it's like a gray area.
Okay.
So you be like, all right, yeah, it has a carb sticker on the supercharger, but it runs on E85. Like,
gotcha.
Okay.
It's tuned or whatever. You're like,
Right.
oh, all right, this ain't got the factory headers or cats or whatever. There's still shit you be like, all right, this piece that you looking at that you're probably gonna ref me on because you don't know what it is. Like, that got a sticker, bro.
Yeah.
You can't pull me over.
Gotcha.
Like, let's say if I get my hood popped and I got an LS in there, and then I've got pulled over. My SC stay ref right now. I was on a ride along, and I went first, second, third, fourth, and it was spinning crazy, and I didn't know the police was behind me. So he pulls me over. He's like, is there any reason why a car will be breaking traction going down the interstate? I'm just like, oh fuck, like, it's wet, bro. Like, I don't know, So he pops the hood. He's looking, turbo, everything there. He points out my catch can. Didn't even hit me for the turbo because technically you can turbo a car. It's not illegal. But he seen the filter on the catch can, was like, oh, it's vented to atmosphere. This is illegal. I'm like, bro, you hit me for a catch can? You gotta be kidding me. Everything else is on here. You hit me for a catch can. You got this big ass turbo sitting in your face. You hit me for a catch can. I'm like, that's crazy. So if you have a carb sticker, even with the LS swap, like my G35, you see that thing, like they ain't gonna know what that is.
Yeah.
But I have a carb sticker from when it was DE'd. Like, look, it got headers on here. Like, oh, here go the header stickers from when it was DE'd. Well, what about the intake? Look, it has a quarter intake right here. There's a sticker for it. Like, ain't nothing special about this. So if they don't know what they looking at, they ain't gonna. Usually it's the intake and the headers they hit you for. If you got a carb sticker for those, you usually get you get away with it. But yeah, it is a little on the harder side. But there are smog exempt counties that you can register cars to. But what a lot of people are doing is just registering the car out of state.
Gotcha.
Like my SCM probably just registered out of state. Just like that way I ain't got to deal with it.
Yeah. I try to stay away from the
Yeah, I don't want to
that
add
shit
too
can
much.
get really like controversial with the EPA stuff and
Legality terms.
so that's very political. So I definitely don't want to dive into that. A lot of shops don't even want to talk about that stuff either for certain interviews because it can get very like political and
and that's because the EPA tries to come down on on shops and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like, let's say like an old school car, like they do a lot of old schools and stuff here.
Yeah.
Like the old schools, you can't do nothing about that. Anything after like 76 or 75 is like smog exempt.
Yeah.
So you can't really do nothing. That's why I got the 64. The Goonicorn build that I'm about to be doing. I'm doing twin turbos. I want them shits out the hood. I want the exhaust out the hood.
It's exempt, Papa.
Yeah, I want to be so obnoxious towards like I'm pulling you over. Like, oh yeah, bro. Just so you know, like my plan is to have at least 2 exempt cars. So I want to get like a 240Z that I can drop a Jay-Z or something in, and then have the the old school 6.4 just to certain markets. Like I always wanted a 240Z, but at the same time, it's like I always wanted to do an old school build, and what better than to do it with than like the old school classic 6.4.
Yeah.
So
how many cars do you have now total?
11 or 12. I be losing track. It's hella funny because I be having to look at my my Instagram like little list thing.
Yeah.
Like on my little little profile. I'll be like, hold on, how many cars? I'm like, okay. Like, so I think 11 right now.
And how much do you think all your cars are worth right now if you were to sell all your cars? How much would you have in equity for cars?
I don't know. I couldn't even put it into like a number. Like, it depends on what things would go for. Like for me, like my vet, I had somebody offer me 46 for this car, and I turned it down because it doesn't really have a cash value. I had some old dude like yelling out of a window in a trailer, fucking like a Raptor, him and his wife. How much for the Fox body? I'm like, it's not for sale. It's my first car. She's like, 45. I'm like, no. To get offered 45 for a Fox is crazy. Yeah. I still turned it down. Like, you can get a cleaner one, like with a Coyote swap that's supercharged for that price.
Yeah.
So I was just like, no. Like, certain things don't really have a number for me that I wouldn't sell. Like, if I was to sell my C6, what would I replace it with for, just under 50 grand? Like, I wouldn't be able to replace it with nothing that I wanted.
Yeah.
So I try not to get rid of things unless I'm like, all right, I'm lateraling over. I'm gonna get rid of this and I'm gonna get something else. That's how I came about the Viper, bro. The Viper that I bought, I seen that thing 2 times. The first time I seen it, I was like, ooh, supercharged ACR. It was a Gen 2. I'm like, I could get this. I'm like, I'd be, I'm like, this would be a big ass purchase. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, what if YouTube don't do good?
Yeah.
It's like a couple years prior to now, I'm like, I ain't gonna do it. Mm-hmm. And then it popped up again. Years later, same fucking car popped up again. My cousin sent it to me like, hey bro, look at this Viper. I'm like, bro, this is the same one I thought about buying, because I wanted to do a Viper Gen 2, but I wanted to supercharge it like my C6. Mm-hmm. That way they had similar sounds and everything, just supercharged Viper, supercharged Vet. Like, I wanted to do the duo. It sounds like this. It has the same blow off valve combo that you're trying to steal. But when I had seen it, I passed on it. I was like, I'm like, man, the price is right. It was up for $75K.
Yeah.
And I started looking at the market. I'm like, damn, bro. I'm like, I'm seeing them like similar price, but no supercharger and non-ACRs. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna wait. I waited probably like a day, and I hit somebody else up actually about a Viper, and this was what really pissed me off, because I hit him up. I was interested in buying it because he had a red and white one for 40.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I'm about to buy this. I'm like, hey, hit him up. Hey, what's good? Like, I'm interested in your Viper. He left me on scene. I'm like, this nigga probably think I'm like just a nigga just window shopping. I'm like, hey bro, I hit him again. Like, hey bro, like, I'm really interested. You still got the car? He was like, yeah. I'm like, when can I check it out? Left me on scene. I'm like, fuck this. I hit the other dude up. Mind, just at a dealer now. It's like an exotic car dealer. I hit him up. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to come check the car out. When can I come? He was like, oh, what days are you free? Whenever you want. I'm like, I'm gonna come. I was like, tomorrow I'm gonna come. I was like, I'm gonna come check it out tomorrow. And when he responded with just like, we were talking back and forth, telling me about the car, send me extra pictures. I'm like, I'm gonna buy it. I made my mind up before I even went to see the car. I'm like, I'm about to buy it. That's why on the day I went to go see the car, I brought my granny, brought my daughter,
That's what's up,
my
man.
BM. We all went, because I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm buying it. I'm like, this one's just like, it popped up twice. It already has a supercharge and everything that I want. I'm like, this is gonna be the one. And on top of that, I'm like, it's an ACR. That color combo is 1 of 37. I'm like, I'm getting it. So we went there. Dude was like showing me the car. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. He's like, you want to test drive it? I'm like, I'll drive it. I'll test drive it when I drive it home. He literally was like, just get in the car. He's like, let's go for a ride around the block. That way you can see. Yeah. I rode in the car, but I didn't even really care. I was like, I'm already set on buying it.
Right.
So the next day I went, cashed them out for the car. They cleaned everything up, and I went and picked it up.
Damn.
So now that we on the topic of the Viper, so I had made a comment on One Stock, the episode with One Stock, about Vipers, and it was kind of like a brief statement, but I had mentioned that Dodge got the Viper engines from Lamborghini. It was a truck engine. I didn't say too much, but I wanted you to elaborate on it a bit more, because there's a lot more to that story, and what I said was very vague. So since you being a Viper guy, can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
All right, so when it came to making the Gen 1 Vipers, Lamborghini at the time was owned by Dodge. They weren't separate entities. They were pretty much, umbrella company.
Okay.
So when it came time to doing the first Viper, the Viper was on a budget. It wasn't supposed to be like a big manufacturer car. It was kind of like something to, compete with. That's why the design of the Viper was, with Carroll Shelby and all that type of stuff. So Dodge didn't want to redo a whole new motor. They already had the V10 in their trucks. It had already been produced for hella years. They wanted to take that motor and just throw it in a Viper. And what ended up happening was Lamborghini's like, well, if we're gonna do this, we need to at least make it an aluminum block. And I think at the time Lamborghini wanted to make it like a quad cam motor. Like there's no single cam V10s that I know of from Lamborghini, but here we are with the Viper setup. It was it's completely different from the Lambo V10, even though Lamborghini helped with the design of the V10 that goes in the Vipers. So that's kind of like why they have that. Like I wouldn't say the Gen 1s have it, but the Gen 2s kind of sound like Lamborghinis because the exhaust goes all the way out the back. The ones that come out the side exit exhaust, those ones sound a little they sound a little funky, but I think it's because the exhaust is kind of short. But once it runs all the way out the back, you have like that Lambo sound because it was an umbrella company under there. They did help with the design of it, but a lot of people think they outsourced it and Lamborghini rebuilt them a whole new motor, which wasn't the case. They pretty much revised the V10 that Dodge already had when they put it into the Viper. Lamborghini definitely helped out a lot with that motor, as far as making them go aluminum block, because it probably would have handled like shit if it was iron. So
yeah, I think I read that it was like too much weight for that chassis or something of that nature.
Yeah, and it would have upset the weight balance. Like if you ever seen a Viper, it has that clamshell style hood. Yeah. When the hood popped, even though it's a V10, the V10 sits behind the rear wheels of a Viper. Yeah. Like it sits super far back. Like if you look at a Viper, people are like, oh, it's a V10, the car has to be heavy. Like they weigh just as much as Corvettes. Yeah. So one thing that I hate with it is people always will say like, oh, it's the Widowmaker. Like Vipers are gonna kill you. Like everybody crashed. Like when I got my car, people was like, bro, just be careful. I'm like, how is it that a car that won championships is a bad handling car? Like that don't make sense, Like when you look at the newer ACRs to this day, it holds 13 track records. Yeah. If it was a bad car, that car wouldn't hold those records. Those records would have been beat. It wasn't like that car just came out a year ago and it broke the record. Those records still stand. Right. So when it comes to Vipers, not much has really changed with the chassis. The motors have gotten bigger. I think at the time Dodge had the biggest production V8 or V10 or motor in general, like biggest liters, which was the 8.0. And I think somebody ended up coming out with something else. And then now the newer Vipers are, even bigger than that. So Dodge still has the biggest production liter wise on motors, but when it comes to handling, man, like these things handle hella good. Like I was worried, like, all right, I'm about to get on first time, I'm about to get on it. This shit's about to get squirrely. Like what our AAAs do, my car doesn't even brake traction. And that's with it being supercharged. Granted, it ain't like, no Calvo built shit to where it's out there insane, but that car actually legitly passes smog. Wow. So yeah. Like if I really wanted to build something to where I'm like, all right, I want to be the fastest on the street, I would literally just send that thing out to Calvo and be like, all right, here, I need y'all to, do y'all sauce to it. Give me a car that makes 2,200 horsepower, put us in fucking what you call it in it, sequential, give me boost by gear with a Motec and all that. And it's like, it's hard to beat. Yeah. Like if racing was my main thing that I care about, I would twin turbo the Viper. Right. I'd be done with it.
So according to some people, the Viper is like not a good platform.
Bullshit. They're lightweight, damn near 50-50 weight balance. Like they're good handling cars.
So do you feel like Vipers are not spoken of in that realm of the GTRs and all these other fast cars? Do you feel like they're not spoke of?
I think a lot of people can't relate to Vipers because they weren't mass produced like that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
When you look at GTRs, I'm pretty sure like the first 3 years of GTRs, they made more GTRs in those 2 years than they did in Vipers from the Gen 1 to a Gen 5. Yeah. So a total production number of Vipers, they're only like 30-something thousand. So there's not a lot of them. Viper people, like no Viper people. Like if you were a kid, there's no way you didn't I like Vipers. Like at that time, you loved them, right? So GTRs are a mass-produced car. There's going to be a bigger aftermarket support for it, and more people feel like that's a car that they can acquire. A Viper, a lot of people can't acquire a Viper. Yeah. And a lot of people, if you don't know the history of it and you're looking into it, you ain't gonna really look into it because not a lot of people are doing YouTube on Vipers or anything like that. Like up until Calvo came back out and started doing the Viper stuff, when did you really hear people talking about Vipers or really thinking about them? Like they weren't even a topic because people were crashing them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a poster car for me when I was little, but other than that,
I think at most it was like Hennessy stuff or
Hennessy,
that time frame.
Yeah. I've wanted a Viper since like Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit.
Yes, that's exactly where I think they had one of them that was like green or some shit, and that's what I was like in love with them from then.
Yeah, that's how I was like, I'm getting one. So when the time presented itself, I was like, this is the one. I'm getting it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was a cover car, Hot Pursuit.
Yeah,
it was a cover car.
But it's like it goes back to our age and our time.
Yeah.
Like kids these days, like if it's like dream cars for these kids are gonna be like, I want a Hellcat.
Yes.
You know, like I want a C7 Vet. Like those are gonna be dream cars for kids of this era.
Yeah.
But like our era was like, you know, it was Vipers, it was the Diablos and shit like that.
Gosh,
like, you know, we go put our age into it.
McLaren F1 was another one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like those are like all the cars that I have are cars that are like period correct for like when I wanted cars as a kid.
Yeah.
So even like now, like, all right, if we're talking like what's a car that you would really want, a Supra is still on my list.
Mm-hmm.
But
which I feel like you should definitely have one by now.
But so I could have bought a Supra. When I bought my Viper, it was like, should I buy the Supra or should I buy the Viper? Having the SE, I'm like already know what I'm gonna be able to do with the Supra.
That's true too.
So I'm like, or having the SE, I was already like, I know what I can do with a Supra because it's similar to the SE.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be pretty much having the same car, but I'm gonna be paying the name tax on it.
Sticker.
Yeah.
So I know a Supra is gonna be a car that continues to go up in value. But do I think a Supra is as iconic as a Gen 2 Viper or any Viper period? No. Like when you look into what are you getting for that money, a Viper is a way better car. Like granted the Supra, all right, it's a 2J, I can make big power out of it. I'm like, okay, I did that with the SE already.
Yeah.
Like, is that Viper going to depreciate in value? Fuck no. Can I go to, you know, wine tasting with my BM and the Viper and people are going to go crazy? Yeah. You ain't going to, like, if you know what a Viper is, those people are like, oh shit, a Viper. Like, bro, like somebody asked me, like, is this real? Like, I don't think they made like kit car Vipers, you know?
Yeah, no, this is like such a unforeseen thing for people that like.
You don't really see them.
Nah, you don't.
Yeah, I don't see them either. At all.
Like up until me buying mine, I don't think I've seen a Viper for years, bro.
Yeah,
years. So like mine, I drive it all the time. I be driving in the rain and stuff. Like I don't care. Like
you buy it, you gonna drive it.
And that's my thing. People are like, oh, it's ACR. Like my car has 33,000 miles. I'm like, wait, this car been on Earth for all these years and somebody only drove it 33,000 miles? Like, okay. I already put like, what, 4,000 miles on that thing.
Damn.
I'm like, I'm about to drive this shit. Because even if I drive it and get it to 50 or 60,000 miles, if I get ready to sell it or whatever, people be like, damn, it only has 60,000 miles on it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm like, let me get my enjoyment out this thing before I decide to pawn it off or whatever. But I don't think that'll be a car I get rid of. Like for me, in my car journey, I feel like that's the biggest my biggest purchase based on like what I really, really wanted.
Right.
Like that was like the dream come true. That's why I took, Granny and everybody with me because I was like, damn, this shit really about to happen.
Yeah.
Like I went from wanting this car, never thinking it was gonna happen to here it is right here. I'm like, bruh, like I bought that thing cash. I wasn't like, all right, let me get a loan, like nothing. I wanted the pink slip. Yeah. I'm like, here go your cash, give me my fucking car and send me my pink slip. So like I feel like that, like I could have got a loan and paid it off slowly, but I was like, I feel like
I feel like that hits better, That's your dream car. Boom, here's the bread. I'm out of here.
And bro, I went there and picked it up in sweatpants. I went in sweats, little regular hoodie, everything. I was like, I'm pretty sure he was like, oh, this nigga ain't buying nothing. But dude, never judged me. I've had times where I went to a dealership. I went in to go get it when the Supras first came out.
Yeah, I
went there to get one. I was like, I want to go get a Supra. Went to Toyota. I went in there, I'm walking around, nobody came to help me. Same thing, I'm in sweats and a hoodie. I'm walking around the car, nobody looking. You see this. Like I look up, I'm like,
I'm gonna wait for you to leave.
So I'm sitting there waiting, I'm like, all right, cool. Bro, I left, I came back with my BM. Me and her walking there, as soon as we walk in, oh, you guys need help? Like, oh, that's funny. After that, I was like I didn't even want it no more. Yeah. I think I went back a couple months later, put in my my allocation for it, and I had a Supra on wait. But they were like, oh, it's going to be here next month. Like, you can pick whatever color. I did the whole little thing. Oh, man, like, we can't give you this color. Oh, the interior, we can't do that color combo. And I waited like 3 months. I was already like, all right, cool. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Whatever. After the third month, I'm like, bro, just send me my refund. I don't want it. I'm like, I'm cool. Like, if it was up to me, I would have had a MK5. I would have had a little Supra already.
Which is the BMW, which we can kind of...
I don't care. It's still a Supra to me.
Do you ever see yourself getting into a BMW at all?
Yeah.
That was a suspicious. Yeah.
Nah, I say that because it's like sketchy, bro. But nah, I say that because y'all know my boy Janky works at Vargas now. He does all their new manufacturing for their turbo kits, and
you posted a video on going to the
controversial. People were mad about it.
They were?
They were mad because of what I said when I said that they had the fastest G80 in a half mile.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I mean, until somebody shows a better time, the G80 record on everything changes. Like, I'm not a BMW head, so it's like I don't really care to be in the arguments on it. But you know, when the numbers line up, when it's on Draggy and verified through shift sector track time, is like that's the time. You know, that's the time. That's the mile per hour. It's like y'all can't be mad at me. That's what it is. Until somebody posts a faster time, which I'm pretty sure somebody can and is more than capable of doing, then it's like, you know, then they can't say they have the fastest time. But my boy Janky works there at Vargas now, and he's been trying to get me into a G80. They actually said that, you know, since I have the following, they were like, if you buy a G80, we'll sponsor the full build. Because they know I'm going to be out there pushing the shit. Yeah. Like, if anybody's going to drive it and push it and make the shop known with a G80, especially out here, and be able to compete and, you know, have that conversation, it would be me. But I'm like, G80, it's like, you know, it's like a $70,000-$80,000 car. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna go buy that and then, you know, have y'all destroy it and take it apart and everything. So I started looking at 70-80 grand. I'm like, man, can I find another Viper for this? Yeah. Because I really want another Viper. I want like a Gen 3 or a Gen 5. Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5. Yeah. Gen 3 if it's a coupe, like hardtop. Yeah. But prefer Gen 4, Gen 5, because I want to do like a twin turbo build. Like, I want some shit that's like, all right, like everybody wants to call you out with different cars. Like, all right, we're gonna race. Here you go. This is my fastest shit. Yeah. Like, here we go. Calvo twin turbo Viper. Who wants to race now? You know, then everybody gets quiet. Like, when it comes to horsepower and everything, people want to match you up based on your power. Like, my biggest thing is, and my problem is, I show like my numbers and everything on YouTube. Because I don't care about racing. Like, if I was secretive enough to be like, I'm trying to race, I want to go get some money, I don't want to lose, I want people having an advantage, I wouldn't post the numbers. But I really don't care to a point where it's like people could see the full dyno videos, like, all right, this made this right here, like, that's it, this is all it has. You can see the timing, nothing left on the table. Yeah. So when people see like, oh, this car made 820, hey bro, my bro got a 1100 horsepower C7, he wants to run you, like, that's stupid, you know? Yeah. Like, how about you go get yo car and run it versus, you know, calling your boy with triple the horsepower type shit. Like, but yeah, as far as the BMW, I'm like, I'm considering it. Definitely considering it, getting a G80. Because
of the sponsorship, or just to see what you can do with it?
Probably sponsorship, honestly. Okay. The sponsorship, and I think they're dope cars. Like, after seeing Kix's car, I'm like, ooh, I really like the way this looks. Yeah. Especially how he did all the carbon and stuff. Like, after I seen that, I was like, like, maybe I could get into like a BMW. And he's had like success with them. Like, he went from full Nissan to where now I think this is his third BMW that he's, you know, acquired, and he seems to be loving it. So I've never had a newer BMW to where I can be like, all right, I tried this and I like it. I had, you know, 2 E30s and that was the extent of that. But as far as like when I rode in the G80, I was like, I think, what was it? F something. The other one,
F80.
F80. Yeah. I had rode in the F80. It was fun, but he was like, "I'll get a G80." Yeah. So I rode in the F80. I really liked the way it looked and everything, but I guess the G80 is better. Like, I don't know BMW lingo too much, but
it's a newer platform.
Yeah, it's all-wheel drive and all that shit. I think the F80
that's the biggest thing too. Yeah.
Like, even the F80, that thing was all-wheel drive, and we were trying to race that C7. It was like breaking traction. Like, I felt it break loose, and I was like, oh, shit's getting squiggly. And then he was like, oh yeah, it's all 4 wheels. I'm like, wait, this ain't rear-wheel drive? Like, oh, that's kind of sketchy. All-wheel drive pulling like that. I don't like the way that feels, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm like more in tune with like, you know, like the Dodge, Chevy, older Mustangs. Like, I feel like if something I've been really looking at is the GT500, like 2020.
Okay. So, now we talking.
Yeah, I actually, man, it's a story behind it. I don't think I haven't even said anything about it, but one of my friends that has a GT500. People are familiar with him on my channel. The way we met was I raced him with my SE. Mm-hmm. So, funny story is, I'm in my SE. I see this black dude driving down the freeway. He's with his wife or whatever. Black dude with an Asian chick, and he has a GT500. This is when they first came out. I didn't know what it was. I'm thinking like, oh, it's a new Mustang with a kid on it. Like, it looks pretty sick. So I think I was on my low boost map, and I tried to run him, and he pulled off on me like crazy. And I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck is this? So now I'm like, hold on, bro. I'm yelling at the window. Hold on, one more. I'm like trying to tap on the screen, you know, putting my shit on the high map. I'm like, I'm about to walk this whole dude. I'm like, I had this black dude in a Mustang thing. He about to walk me. So we're lining up now. I'm on high boost. I'm trying to get him the stage. I'm brake boosting. And he's taking so long to get ready to where I'm brake boosting, but my car is building so much boost, it starts doing a rolling burnout. So now I'm like lurching forward. I'm like, bro, like we gotta do this faster. So now we finally get staged. We run, like it's super close. I'm letting off because we're running into traffic, but I post a video on it. Like people seeing seeing what had happened. They were like, oh shit, like, bro, that's a GT500. I'm like, oh shit, like, so I start looking. I'm like, damn, they make 770. Like, oh shit, they're DCT. Like, okay, no wonder this car was so fast.
Yeah.
So I'm on 19s too. I'm on, my nigga shit. I got big wheels, trying to make it work. So I'm spinning. And I ended up, I guess people were tagging him and hitting him up like, oh bro, you raced Mike Myke. Like he OG, he wasn't into social media, didn't know nothing about it. So me and him get in contact, we're chopping it up. And I tell him like, oh, I want to get a rematch. Like, let's get a good run in. That way we got room and everything. And now I'm like, I'm not losing. I go take the 18s, or I take the 19s off. I throw 18s on. I put the R888s on. I run it at like a 860 map because I know it hooks up at that power level. Now we go to run, and I'm pulling this thing. So now I'm like feeling like big dog, like, oh baby. Like at the time there wasn't really no GT500 videos. So having the video where the SE smoking a GT500 when they were brand new was like, oh shit, like nobody has these cars. So I got the chance to race one and put it on video. And me and him end up becoming like cool. We would chop it up all the time, becoming one of my good friends. And I want to say a couple like a month or 2 months ago or so, he hits me saying he has cancer. So I'm like, like bullshit. Like I'm thinking he planned. He like, nah, for real, bro. It's like I really got cancer or whatever. And he's like, I want you to take the GT500. So he wanted me to take over his GT500. I think he only owed like, what was it, like 35,000 or something at the time on it. So we've been talking. He wants me to. He's like, I still want you to get it. So I'm like, it's cool because it's like I met him through that car. And it's definitely a car that I was like, I would want a GT500. So for him to be like, I want you to take the GT500, whatever, if something was to happen. So I'm like damn, like all right, I might have a GT500, but it's like the way it's been acquired kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how we're gonna go about it. Like, he doesn't care about the money. He's like, nah, I don't care. Like, I want you to take it, but I'm also like, nigga, sell that shit. Put the money away for your kids. Like, how do I justify, you letting me get $100,000 car for $35K or just, not even making no money off of it. I'm just paying it off. He wants me to pay off the remaining balance and take the car. So I'm like,
yeah, that's a sticky one.
It is, like my inner car dude was like, oh shit, parking a GT500 next to a Viper, like bruh, goals. But the other part's like, bruh got kids, so it's like, that's one of my niggas. And I'm like, if anybody was to get the car, I would definitely want it, because now I'm gonna turn this thing up to where it's like it's gonna be a 4-digit car. I'm gonna do the stuff that he wanted to do to it. I'm gonna make this probably like my second fastest car, if not my fastest car, next to my SE. And it would be a car that I would be married to. It's like this car, I'm stuck with this car for life, just the way I acquired it.
Right.
So, the GT500 for me is like a sticky one. I really, really want one. I considered buying one when I got the Viper, but I'm a wait and see how everything plays out, see what he wants to do. If he's set on me taking it, then I'm gonna get it. But if it's something to where something changes, I'd rather him, sell it, make money, put the money away towards kids or towards the family. Like, I don't know how would I make that situation better? Do I buy the car, later start a trust or something for his kids? Like, I don't know how to where I wouldn't feel like a shithead, doing it. So
I feel like it's kind of hard for you to even be like thinking about all that, because the time's not there.
It is,
you don't want to think that far.
It is like damn, my boy about to die of cancer. He wants me to take the car. I met him through the race with that car. That's his baby. Like, that's his like favorite car out of the Hellcats, whatever. That's his favorite one. If he got rid of everything, he'd be keeping that car.
Yeah.
Out of his brothers, families, whoever, is like, he wants me to take it.
Yeah, that's big.
So it's it's like fuck, like this sucks, but it's dope, but it's like I like it, but I don't like it. So it's like it's hard to be emotional or happy about it when the circumstances suck.
Yeah.
Right.
So I haven't even talked to him about it or anything. Like, he wanted me to take the GT500 before I went and got the Viper. I went and bought the Viper, and then I was like, sleep on it and think about it. I could have went and picked that car up.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm gonna get the Viper. You really think about this, It's like, what if shit changes and you don't die from cancer? What if you beat the shit? Now I got your car and I ain't gonna give it back to you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm keeping it. It's mine now. But I don't know. It's a weird little thing. So right now he's doing cool. He's still kicking. So it's just really just planning and waiting.
Yeah, wish him the best. Hopefully, the best could come out of the situation.
For sure.
So to speak,
Yeah, I'd rather him, be around any day. Fuck the car.
Yeah.
I'll take my boy over a car any day of the week.
We've seen and heard the stories of Boxer Mike. Boxer Mike. Now I have seen you had a episode where you were boxing like your fans, but that's like later on. There's been a ton of stories, a bunch of information being spewed out there of you partaking in some hand-to-hand combat, so to speak. Is anything of that you could speak on or touch base on
before we bring the gloves out?
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's get the gloves out. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. So a lot of the stuff I used to post on YouTube, my girl's old account.
Mm-hmm.
So like prior to even times where I would be into cars, shop owners having to go there and throw hands with with shop owners and stuff.
Yeah.
But since then, what I ended up doing was I ended up deleting a lot of stuff. I had to clean up the image.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to be, when it comes to like branding, you want to be an asset, not a liability.
Right.
So when people were looking at it, I didn't want to have people looking at me as like, oh, look at this ghetto ass nigga from Oakland doing typical ass nigga shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it came down to really that. Like, granted, if it was for the views and stuff, I just go around just beating up people. Like, fight videos do way better than car content any day of the week. Like, people love seeing it. Like, But when it came to like trying to network, I didn't want somebody to be able to be like, oh look, like, hey, like I'm trying to, like, what's up? Y'all trying to be a part of this build? Like, nah, bro. We see how you be out here fighting people at shops, so we can't be a part of that. Same with the street drifting. That's why I don't really do street drifting no more. I don't do street drifting just because of the liability of the branding behind it.
Right.
Especially like being big now. Like I have CHP officers that pulled me over and be like, hey, like I know you, slow down though. Like the vet, I got pulled over in a vet, like doing 100 or something. Dude pulled me off the road. He called me like by name, like Mike, come here. I'm like, oh boy, I'm about to get Billy clubbed. It's over. He's like, what you doing 100 or something? I'm like, bro, I was just merging on the freeway. He was like, I watch your YouTube. She's like, just slow it down a little bit. No, nothing, no ticket, nothing. Yeah. So they watching.
Yep.
They definitely watching. Like they know who I am. They're watching. So I don't want to give them a reason to be like, all right, we about to go. I don't want we about to go get this nigga. Like let's go round him up. He's done.
Yeah.
So I kind of cleaned it up. I even had like to this day one of my main sponsors who were like a part of my builds. When we had a drift team, the dude who was running the drift team, I was like on somebody else's team, one of my boy Lexus, and we were a part of that team, and he was reaching out to a company for sponsorships and wanted to get them on board for the team, and they were literally like, we'll sponsor the team, but we can't have him on there. Like he be doing too much. Like literally, like nah, we can't have him representing the company. Now that same company is one of my like major brands, but it was like after I cleaned up everything. Plus, I guess nowadays is like the image is like, yeah, it's important depending on how the corporation is, but if the views and the foot traffic is there, it's kind of like, all right, we gonna still jump on board.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, as far as the fighting videos and stuff go, yeah, it was
like
back then it was different. It was different though. Like when I first got into YouTube, when I wasn't really doing car stuff, and I was getting into drifting, this wasn't a black sport. Let's keep it 100. Like it wasn't a black sport. Here I am, black nigga in a 300 ZX and a 240. Mm-hmm. It was different. So when you had people that would be saying stuff like, I know what trolling was. Like people like, oh bro, like I'll do this, I'll do that to you. Watch when I see you. We come from the hood. It was like, oh, those threats meant something.
Right.
So we come from a time where it's like, all right, I don't like you, you don't like me. Let's go to the park and we're gonna throw hands. So when you see people online saying, oh, I'm gonna do this when I see you at the track, you're like, all right, bet. When I see you, I'm pressing the issue. Yeah. So the video that it's somewhere on Facebook. I ain't gonna point no direction to it, but it is on Facebook. I can type in the keywords and find that video still. Like me stomping dude's car out after beating him up in front of his girl. Okay. It was a meme, bro. It was a meme. Like when I jumped up to stomp her exhaust, Like people were screenshotting it and they were putting like a roach underneath it. Like I was stomping a roach. I was doing a kickflip on a skateboard. It was crazy.
We sparking this off again.
Yeah.
Right. It was crazy. But yeah, since then I ain't like now I got a lot more to lose now.
Right.
You know, I'm not like a little kid that, you know, that's working at a Ross or whatever now. You know, like I actually got a brand, you know, I got assets. So now, you know, the consequences could be a lot different. I can go out and, you know, put hands on somebody that was just talking, and then what, you know, get into some legal actions and have troubles and you know, lose a few things and have to, you know, try to recuperate from it. So now understanding what trolling is, it's kind of like, all right, whatever. Like when people say stuff, I'd be like, all right, I ain't tripping.
Right.
You talking, but you know, what your cars look like. Let me see your cars.
Yeah.
You know, where you live at. You got a house? Like, all right. If you ain't, one thing is you never really see people that are doing a lot better than you talking about you. Because they don't got time to be on the internet, you know, knowing what everybody else got going on.
That's true.
So I feel like if somebody's going through, like, mind you, these are people that you don't know about.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know you exist, nothing, but you going out your way to talk shit and troll, but it's like, I don't know you, bro. You watching me, I'm not watching you. I didn't know you existed until I read that comment.
Right.
But thank you for the view now, because now your comment is adding to that revenue and it's adding to that view. So I'm gonna get paid for that comment and I'm not gonna take it that serious no more.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna let nobody trick me out of position to where I do some dumb shit and now I'm missing time with my daughter or
you
whatever.
mess your whole situation up.
Yeah, I can't. I got a mortgage now. Before I was living at a granny house helping her with rent, whereas now, you know, I got my own shit that I got to be worried about, and it's up to me to make sure those bills and everything get handled.
Are you 100% full time?
I've been 100% full time on YouTube since 2020. So I started my YouTube in 2016, and I was posting. I'll say 2018 is when I really kind of started posting like little stuff here and there.
Yeah.
But I was doing security at Walmart. I was working there, and I was still doing YouTube. And I started kind of seeing like certain months, I'm like, man, my YouTube check looking better than my Walmart check. And I'm here 40 hours. I'm like, I'm posting 3 videos a week or 2 videos. I'm like, So I started looking at that. And now I'm getting to the mindset where I'm like, all right, channel's growing. And I didn't know anything about monetization until like 30K.
Yeah.
Like people were like, monetize your videos. I'm like, hell no, because I can't cuss if I monetize the videos. Like they gonna try to water me down. I'm like, I ain't selling that. I ain't doing it. And then when I finally did it and I got my first YouTube check, I was like, this is pretty good. So now I'm at Walmart. Checks are coming in. I'm also working at, you know, the Walmart checks and the YouTube checks. Now I got all my Walmart stuff going through, just like I'm maxing out full 401k, whatever. I'm here now because I'm the benefits.
Yeah.
But I'm at the job. They like, oh, we need you to help with restocking, or no, not restocking. We need you to help with inventory. Like, fuck inventory, bro. I don't need this job.
Yeah.
I need to be here. I could be doing YouTube.
Right.
You know, so I'm looking at now. I don't want to work. I don't want to work here no more. I'm like, man, I could be out here doing this. So a situation that happened this was the tipping point right here. I was working at Walmart. Situation that happened where this guy came in Walmart, whatever was going on. Police was called and dude was shot. I'm not going to jump too much to the topic, but dude was shot. We ain't going to say who's at fault or whatever. Dude gets shot, and I'm right behind the officer when this happens. So now I'm like whole witness to it. This is during a time where, you know, Black Lives Matter and all this shit was coming up. You had issues with police, and just the community was bad. You know, the relationship between officers and people were bad. And during that time, mind you, I had a cousin that had got killed by CHP. He was sleeping in his car and got shot. Cousin name was Damari. If y'all want to look into that, y'all can see it. Sleep in the car. So there was already a riot behind that. They settled the lawsuit, cash money out or whatever. So here I am now. I'm directly behind, you know, some shit, and this goes down. And I'm already, you know, soon as I leave work, we had to go to the police station, do all this stuff on what happened, because we're pulling up the cameras. So a video drops. Obviously, people see me in the background, and everybody's like tagging me, sending me in the video, and I'm not saying nothing. So I finally reshare the video, and I make a statement, and I basically was like, you know, I know how people are gonna feel about this. I know how it's gonna be projected as. I'm like, but I want y'all to know this ain't one of those situations where it's like y'all gonna think it's, you know, brutality. And I gave the context on what happened. And I was like, you know, I know the relationship between, you know, the black community right now and officers, and, you know, this situation ain't that. You know, I'm not going to justify anything. I think the situation could have been handled a little different on, you know, on both parties. But in a situation like that, when you you know, it's one officer there, one person. One dude has a bat, one dude has a gun. You know, you bring your weapon to the fight, and you know, if you didn't pick the right weapon, you lost, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, so when that all goes down, after I release a statement, you know, I go on like a leave. I go on like, what was it? Probably like two weeks or whatever, or 1 week or 2 weeks, whatever it was. And during that time, I'm posting more YouTube videos. And when I'm posting more YouTube videos, now I'm like, this 2 weeks consistent YouTube, because now I'm like, I'm just trying to, you know, I'm about to post and whatever. I'm like, I ain't got to go to work. And then my YouTube revenue doubles. I double what I was making at Walmart, on top of it doubled what I had already made that previous month. I'm like, I really, really don't need this job. So I go back, and then I get called to the office. They're like, oh, you know, we just want to let you know that we're going to be letting you go because you released information on the ongoing investigation. I'm like, I didn't release shit. Yeah. You know, it's public information on what's going on out there. All I did was reshare the video that somebody else had to reshared, and I got let go for it, which was like, all right, whatever, cool. I'm already like, all right, this is the push I needed. So I tell myself, I'm like, I'm gonna give myself, I was like 3 or 4 months. It's like 3 or 4 months of just doing nothing but YouTube, and I want to see if I can really do this. I'm a bank on myself here. I'm not gonna go apply and get another job. I'm gonna really try this and see what happens. And my first full month of like consistently doing YouTube, it was like I quadrupled my Walmart pay. Like my first YouTube check, like a full consistent, I think it was like $13K. Damn. It was like 13.5. And I was like, when I seen that, like I can show you my analytics, bro. From 2016 to 2020, my analytics are like this. 2020, that shit goes boof, and it stays up. So after that, I was like, you know, I left Walmart in April of 2020, and by December I was buying my house.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went from just having the 300ZX that I was building, the 350Z, and my SC300, to when I bought my house, I bought my FD, because I was like, that was like dream car number 3. I was like, I'm buying FD. I'm buying another dream car. I'm parking the shit in my first house. Bought my house and my FD at the exact same time. And then after that, I was always worried, like, damn, like I didn't go get a big ass house. So I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. What if the numbers drop off? Yeah. I'm like, I want to see what's gonna happen. But you know, since 2020 until now, it's like we've grown. Everything's been consistent. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of people that view are like constant, like the same viewers. Like when I look at my analytics, it's like, it'll say like 75% people are subscribed that are viewing, and then it'll be like 20% new viewers. Like we don't have a lot of new viewer traffic, but like my OGs are like there. Yeah. You know, they're like, hey, it's practice day, bro. We in there. So, you know, I'm thankful for that. But always in the back of your head when you're doing YouTube is always like that. Like, damn, what if this shit, like, what if my account get deleted? Yeah. What if people stop watching? What if whatever happened? You start thinking about everything. What if they stop paying people on YouTube, you know? So you always have that. But I feel like when you start thinking like that, like thinking the negatives, is just like kind of just slows you down. Yeah. Because since then, like every year I'd be like, oh man, this might be the year. And I've made more every single year after that than I did the previous years, which is like kind of like mind blowing when you think about it. Cause you're like, damn, like this is like, you know, we 3 years in, like not going back to work for somebody else. And like, we still here, still growing. Everybody was saying after I had my daughter, like, oh bro, you're gonna have to get rid of all your cars. You know, it's over. And here I am, you know, I go pick up the Candy Red Mustang that I just finished. I picked that up in December. My daughter was born January 30th. I want to say a little bit after that, I go buy the 4-door G35. When I have the LSN now, I go buy the family car for my girl to drive around with my daughter. And then I go pop up and I go buy the Viper cash. So it was like when people were like, oh, like, it's a mindset thing. Yeah. When people say like, you can't do this, you ain't gonna be able to do it. Watch what's gonna happen. Yeah. In my eyes, I'm like, I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm about to show y'all. Like you niggas are just lazy and don't really wanna work and grind towards it. You think a kid's gonna slow you down? Yeah. Like if I want, like my daughter was an accident. I wanted my baby, you know? So it's like, I'm not gonna let her slow me down. I'm not gonna put her well-being at risk because, you know, she's here now. But if the YouTube and the cars and stuff are what's fun in this lifestyle and making sure she's good, like why is that gonna slow down? Yeah. Like it's just it doesn't work that way. If anything, I'm about to work harder.
Yeah, you're gonna go harder.
Facts. Maintain that. So, you know, you can't have that lazy mentality of like, oh man, I got a baby, like I gotta get rid of everything. Like, nah, I bought more shit when I had my daughter. just to show them like, brother, that baby didn't slow down nothing. I'm more motivated now. Like in my YouTube journey, you can look at my videos. I haven't done one branded ad video. None. I get contacted for brand ad videos, and that's probably where I kind of mess up at. I can have, more streams of income coming through, but I feel like that's like the sellout option. I don't want to be the dude that's like, hey man, before the video starts, hey, I just want to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by blah blah blah. Here I am with a head full of hair and I'm advertising hair loss products to you. Like, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. So it's like if it's not something that I'm rocking with personally, like I don't want to advertise it to my supporters and turn them into consumers.
Right.
I just don't look at the support that way. Because if it wasn't for that support system and me being able to pull Granny and everybody out the hood based on, people watching these videos, then, my living situation would be different.
Yeah.
So I'm not going like, all right, man, I got all these people like, hey, I got consumers for y'all. Like, let's market this to them. Like, nah, I don't want to, I don't want to do that. Like I've had one company offer $5,000 for a 1 minute, 30-second ad. I turned it down, bruh. I've turned down so many like sponsored ads for like 3 bands. Like the smallest was 3 bands. 3 bands for a 1 minute and 30-second ad, bro. I could have made money off of, but my inner like pride is like, nah, I'm not gonna market this shit to my people like that, because if they get weary or be like, oh, this nigga just doing hella ads now, he's selling out. Like, if I lose them, then what? I lose my support system, then all the shit goes downhill.
Right.
So it's like, granted, I have different streams of income now, like far as like marketing and what I do outside of it, but it's still like my main focus is YouTube.
Right.
Like I don't go like, I'm about to do merch now. I'm gonna sell merch. I do it here and there, rarely, just limited merch drops, but I don't really do a lot of merch. Like I don't want to take away any time from the content.
Yeah.
If the content is how I started, I'm about to make that my main priority. Mm-hmm. So I keep focused on the YouTube aspect of it.
You only have so much time in a day to do shit. So I mean, if you're doing content and editing, filming all your stuff, it's like to do merch. You could hire somebody, I'm sure, but it seems like you want to keep it genuine.
Dude, even merch, I used to draw. How much I used to draw is insane. Yeah. I used to have art books. I had a thing for, what was it? The Academy of Arts in San Francisco. I was going to go there to go to school. Like I met this dude on, that worked at Pixar. I was sitting on the bus drawing as a kid. Wow. Like, I had a full ride to go there and draw. It was just like, for me, building cars just changed. Like it's a different platform. Yeah. Like instead of the canvas being a blank piece of paper, now it's a blank car. So like if you look at my 350, it's like it's one of one. There's not another 350 that looks like mine. And even if I do some off the shelf shit, like my C6 is off the shelf, you ain't gonna really see another one like it. Like it's gonna be different from everybody else's. Whether we have the same stuff or not, I'm gonna still add those changes to it. So for me, I like the artistic art aspect of the building, like the creativeness. Like if I'm not building a car, like my mind works hella weird. Like I get like anxiety because I'm not doing something. Yeah. Like if I have too many cars, like, all right, this is almost done. It's like, all right, I got to get another car. I got to finish something. I got to start something new. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
It's not the project. Yeah. You are, like you say, your artistic side is just wants to change something. So you can't have nothing stock then.
No. I don't own no stock cars. The G35 is my stockish car. And granted, we did that purposely. Right. Like it's clean on the outside. When you look at it, it just has like basic little aero additions to it. Mm-hmm. Interior's fully stock, but it has a built LS3 in it. It's a car that's gonna make 500 horsepower NA. It's quiet. Just put the cutouts and stuff on it, but I built that car for my daughter. So when I want to go to a meet or whatever, I could throw her in there with her car seat. It's gonna be quiet. It's not gonna smell like E85 or anything. We just get it and go. But it'll still be able to hold its own when people look at it and be like, oh damn, that's a dope car. So instead of focusing on the super dramatic aspect of making the car look good, we did that by accentuating the factory looking stuff. Right. Like the LS3 in there looks stock. The LS3 uses like the factory AC off of the 350Z, the factory all center off the 350Z, and the power steering off the 350Z. Mm-hmm. They make an accessory drive to make it work. So when you look at it, you be like, all right, the reservoirs and everything from the factory Z is in here, but you'll see it. And they'd be like, damn, everything factory works with LS3. Yeah. Not many people were doing it. It's like people were like, all right, we did the LS3 swap, but damn, we ain't got no AC. Yeah. Heater don't work. All the lights are on the dash, So we wanted to make it just a super clean build. But then everything else is like outrageous. Like this thing's sick. The freaking 350, my Mustang, which is probably like one of my favorite top 5 cars, because I have 3 of them, but my first one I didn't chop up because it was the 25th year anniversary. But my second one I ended up making all wide and doing everything I was gonna do to the first one to that one. And then when they see it now, it's like, okay, that was my original vision for it. I just want to chop up the classic and have, all the Ford niggas hating me for it.
Yeah. So, can you talk about this Twinkie situation? He said, I'm assuming there's a lot of controversy around that and how it's affected how you build your cars and so on, or your builds on YouTube. So, can you kind of elaborate on that situation?
So Twinkie. Ugh. So Twinkie was my old painter. And he just did a terrible job on it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's not necessarily just him. I feel like that's just a body shop thing in general. With body shops, it's hard to find good body shops that do legit work. My painter now, like, thank God he's legit. He repainted my Vet front end. Yeah. Repainted my truck front end. He has my FD right now. He has my SC300 and my Fox body at his shop right now. So he has 3 of my cars currently. He's painted my green one. So me and him are tapped in. I'm like, all right, cool. Finally got somebody that's like good. But yeah, Twinkie sucked. Twinkie was just shitty painter, was lying about a lot of stuff. And it just came out bad. But shit, I don't even think Twinkie is as bad as the last dude who did my 350Z. I think Twinkie had the right concept down. He just didn't have the prep work.
Which is probably the most important part when it comes to painting.
Twinkie used a lot of Bondo, but goddamn, the dude who did my 350, boy, if he can make Greek sculptures out of that Bondo shit. Like, he was a sculptor for real. Like, that car was bad, bro. Like, my 350, that all has to get ripped off. Like, I hate that. I love that car, but I hate it because when it comes to that car, me and KBD did like a collab. So that body kit, we designed the wide body, like everything got shaped in. Like, I told him, how I wanted everything. So it was supposed to be like this grand fucking, unveiling of the kit. To this day, the front bumper's never been made. Huh. I had made the front bumper, and it was supposed to go into production with KBD, but after the body started chipping, like, it was a whole little thing behind that 350 to where, damn, like, I hate it. Like, I have so many trust issues with painters and stuff. Like, I went and picked up my 300ZX. Twinkie would have been the last person I beat up on camera. Yeah, it was like bad like that.
You said he would have been.
Yeah, like it got, bro. That situation got sticky. So I went and picked up my car, and we already had words, and he had already been like kind of hinting towards stuff, saying stuff online, like, oh, I ain't scared of him, blah blah blah. So my mindset, I'm like, bro, you ain't got to be scared of me to get these hands put on you. So when I went there to pick up my car, I had my little homie with me. I'm like, load the car up. Once the car was on the trailer, I was like, so what's up, bro? Like you want to go toes right now? Ain't no cameras out, nothing. I'm like, cause you being real disrespectful online. Like, what's the word? I'm like, and then he was, he flipped it. It went from like, oh, it's whatever to, man, bro, like, I'm so sorry I messed up. Like, I don't want to fight you, bro. Like, I know I fucked up. It was on me. So if somebody's pleading, I'm not about to, I'm not going to be a bully and be like, nah, I'm about to beat you up just because, you messed up my car. If you're willing to say sorry and you admitted that you want to fight, cool. I'm a fall back. That's like, whatever. I let it go. And then something had happened where I had posted something about the car or something, and then he posted that he was at the gun range or something. He posted a picture of a gun, and that triggered me. Like, it triggered me like crazy. I'm like, oh, like, that's what we doing. So I ended up popping up at his shop, like taking pictures in front of his shop, like where you at, bro? Like, come out. And I guess it became something to where I guess his dad was there. He was scared for his dad's life. It got to be a bad situation. I'm like, bro, don't threaten me talking about you got a gun, because I want to see if you can use that motherfucker at this point. Like, it was a bad situation. He understood the severity of it, and he made sure he got in contact with me to be like, no, man, I didn't even know somebody had sent that to you, had nothing to do with you. I was just at the shooting range, and now I'm at a baseball game. Yeah, all right. So, I mean, he went public with it. He was like, I had him blocked, but he was posting a story like, can somebody please send him this? Like, like, it's not that. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, here I am on live telling you, like, what's going on. Here's a story. Like, please somebody tag him, screen record it, send it. It was a situation because, like, I've been shot before. I got shot. So I got shot 5 times. So when a nigga go, I was like, I had just turned 18. Damn. So yeah.
Do people know this?
They know of it, but I ain't never talked about it too much.
Shit. Damn, bro.
When I see that, I'm thinking like, oh, Like, oh, this nigga think it's a game. Like, now we own him.
Yeah.
So, you know, since then I let that be.
Right.
My last painter, I troll him a lot because, you know, every time I see a new crack on a 350Z, I be like, oh, here we go. I made shirts. That I did merch on. I made shirts. I did Bondo Bandit shirts. A picture of him in like a Waldo outfit with fucking spatulas with hella Bondo dripping over the 350Z. Let's just say I made my money back. The money I paid him for that paint job, I made my money back in that merch.
But you pretty much, you know, you're done with that. So I didn't even know about
It's been addressed. Yeah.
That's a pretty serious situation. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you came out of that and kind of you know, found somebody that you can trust.
Facts.
You know?
I mean, first off, just from you mentioning what you said about yourself when you was 18, you know, we're happy you're here, you know, that you pulled through something like that. You know, that's obviously ramifications of your environment as well. I'm gonna assume, you know, however, you know, what's going on. But I saw that you know, you ride as well, or you were riding as well.
Yeah, I used to.
Was that community or the bike thing, was that something that you like to do as far as like racing, or do you feel like the cars just hit different or were faster in that kind of sense?
Yeah, I got into the bikes because of my boy Lex. My boy Lex is like heavy into bikes and, you know, Rough Rider stuff, and he got me into bikes. It wasn't a long period of time that I got into them. Like I got a bike and I built my bike probably in like a month. Like just went from a stock bike, stock 750 to like tuned with all the cool shit to where it looked good. Like I did that and I was riding it. I'm like, all right, this is cool, but I had like cars that were faster.
Gotcha.
Like when I raced the GT500, I had him on my bike. He was riding my bike, getting the footage, and it was like the bike couldn't keep up with the SE.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, it's kind of more sketchy on two wheels, and you know, you fuck up on here, you done. Whereas the car, you got a lot of leeway. I actually went to a bush on my bike. I went into a bush, like it wasn't nothing crazy. Like we were literally getting ready to hit the back roads. I got the GoPro on the camera. I'm looking down, like trying to tap it, and I hear beep beep beep, and I look up and we're turning, and I didn't turn enough because now I'm like, oh shit, we're in a turn. I went straight up the hill. Up the hill into a bush, bro. I looked like a billy goat. My boy turned back around. He looking for me. I'm in a bush trying to roll the bike down the hill. But it was either bush or barbed wire gate. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna choose the bush.
Damn.
So basically the cars were faster.
Yeah, my car is way faster than my bike. Like I think my Vet's faster than what my bike.
I mean, there's always that, I don't want to say misconception, but you always got those guys that like that cars can't sit with bikes, you know. And
cars are faster than bikes.
I don't agree with that, but I wanted to get your opinion.
Cars are faster than bikes.
Yeah.
Like if you get I'm talking about like a basic bike. Like if you got an R1 or something with bolt-ons, it's not going to compete with anything over like, let's say 900 horsepower.
Yep.
I feel like to beat a bike, especially from like a 60-year-old, 900 horsepower will do it. If you're talking about 600s and stuff like that, like I walked 600s with 700 horsepower on the Vet when it was at the time. So my cousin Q has a Busa. It's a turbo Busa. Like that's a different ball game.
Yes, that's
different.
Yeah.
But how many people were out here running around with turbo Busas that you about to be racing? Like it's just
very little.
See H2s sometimes run.
Yeah, but you still see those get walked by like high horsepower cars, GTRs, Lambos, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's usually a top contender when it comes to bikes is the H2.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like after a certain mile per hour, bikes get a little sketchy.
Yeah, nah, it's not for me.
When I went in that bush, I was just like stick to four wheels.
So, what's next for you coming up this year? Because obviously we're in New Year, so you have a lot of things going on for yourself.
This year I'm focusing on just driving. I told myself, I'm like, man, I've done a lot of building the last couple of years, and a lot of my followers that are new don't know that I can actually drive. Like prior to, you know, like, oh, I'm building this, or now we're doing a bunch of run footage or videos, and you starting to see a lot of ride along videos, but that wasn't what the channel was based on. It was more so like, all right, I'm gonna build this car and I want to go drifting. So my main focus this year is I'm gonna be focusing on the 6.4 build, getting that done, and this 2JZ4 ride, and then just a lot of driving. Hopefully this year I won't be building anything new or really changing anything. I want to just focus on just purely driving. That way the new fans and shit, or fans, the new supporters or whatever, subscribers, they can come in and see, you know, everything that's going down. Like outside of like, all right, this fool can build fast cars, but like, yo, this nigga can really drive.
Right.
Like that's what I really want people to know me from. Is like, all right, he's a real driver. And we got a lot of people that think like I can't build my own cars. Like when you got 11 cars, bro, like you can't do everything. You can't.
Yeah.
Especially from when you start looking at YouTube as a business.
Yeah.
Like, all right, if I drop my Vet off here and they can knock the transmission out in a day, whereas me being in my garage on jack stands it's gonna take me a week to drop the whole cradle. It's like, from a financial standpoint, it makes the most sense. Like, all right, let's get this car in here. I'll pick it up tomorrow, pay y'all, and now I'm back on the road the next 4 days making content.
Right.
And it's like, you know, even though I've done it, went to school for it, I was a tech for a couple years. Being a tech made me hate cars. It made me not want to work on anything that I had. Like, I had to get off work and be like, I'm not about to touch this 240. Like, I'm tired of working. So now that I have the money to pay somebody, it's just like, all right, cool. We can drop this off here to people that have their specialties, and I don't really have to worry about it. I could just focus on driving and making content.
Right.
Granted, if something break at the track, I'm under the hood of my shit. I'm under the hood. I'm under the car. I'm fixing it. Like, if I'm stuck somewhere, I'm gonna get my car back running. But when it comes time to be like, all right, I gotta pull a motor. Can I pull a motor? Yeah, I can pull a motor. It's shit easy. Take the wire harness off, disconnect the trans, and get that shit up out of there. But do I want to be sitting there doing that when I could be making a video and making some money off of it? Like, you know, you gotta pick. Sense. You gotta pick.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, I'm like, bro, the person that runs McDonald's ain't making French fries no more. He might have started his business like that, but he ain't in the kitchen no more.
Yep.
So it's like, if y'all want to see the content, or do y'all want to see me work on my car? What do y'all want to see? Y'all want to see bitches with big titties in here getting rides? You want to see me out here, you know, getting these runs in or whatever, or at shops enjoying the cars? Or do y'all want to see me in the garage with a time lapse on, you know, pulling the transmission out because I didn't fry the clutch or something?
First one sounds good.
Exactly. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. You know, it's been times where I'll be like, I'm about to buy a car. I'm about to just build it straight at the house. That way these niggas know I can build my own shit. Like, they be trying to sleep on me like I can't work on my stuff. But then you be like, man, that take time out the vlogs. Like, what point am I trying to prove to somebody?
Yeah.
Like, who cares? If I never knew how to wrench on a car and I couldn't do nothing, I can drive it and I'm getting paid to do it.
Right.
So it's like, who cares, man?
All right. So, want to say I appreciate you for taking the time to do this. It's obviously a long podcast, guys. So, I feel
it would have been longer, but you know, Alex is trying to kick us out. He's scared of the storm. I could have been in here for 5 and 6 hours. I'm chilling. I'm vibing.
Hopefully we see you guys in New York. Hopefully you guys can make your way.
I definitely want to go out there. So
Philly.
How far is that from y'all?
Philly is like 3 hours for me. Yeah.
So
April,
I want to say on the record too. Part of the reason I did this podcast is because I do have a big East Coast following. Like, I didn't know up until I had checked the analytics. Shout out to that fool Reef. Like, you know, I felt like that contributed to it when me and him were bickering back and forth on live and stuff, and saying who's is my SE gonna be faster than the BMW, and he want to race kicks, because, you know, it was like, all right, East Coast versus West Coast. But then, you know, we ended up becoming hella cool, and then when I started checking analytics, I'm like, yo, like, why is my first and second biggest like support system, like, why is it fluctuating between SoCal and New York?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't even, like, I've never been over there, anything. So it's like, to have that as like between my first and second biggest base is like crazy to me. So that's also why I wanted to do a podcast with y'all, because, you know, y'all from the East Coast, turned down a bunch of podcasts, but seeing that y'all are from that side over there, it's like I kind of wanted to network it in towards like, all right, I want to, at least if I can't go over there and, you know, meet people, I want to be able to support and show that, you know, it's love over here for those people and shit. Like I said, Reef is dope. I've never met One Stock or anything. You know, I just, you know, I tap in and see some of the stuff that everybody's doing. Like, even though I don't have like a certain person or people that I watch constantly on YouTube, I do look and see like who's relevant, who's talking about who, what this person's doing. Like, I'm always a student of the game when it comes to car stuff. So it's like, if I'm a get into something, I want to know who people are talking about. I want to see what this person's doing. I want to see how fast this person is. I want to see how dope this person's car is. And if I take a little bit from everybody and put something together, then it's like, I know I'm gonna have a dope product, because I didn't mix and master the best of it with what was already proven.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, that's how that shit goes down. But yeah, for sure, as far as like my East Coast fan base and shit, like, big thanks, big love to y'all. Like, I didn't think it was gonna be that high on the analytics, but you know, it is. So I fuck with that.
Yeah.
And hopefully one of these days I'll be able to, you know, get out there and at least do a meet and greet or something.
No, absolutely. That'd be dope, and I would definitely love to be both of us.
Yeah, I mean, even if we come back out here, I mean, if you got something.
No, we coming back. Cali, we coming back for sure.
I don't have big titties, but I would love a ride along.
Hey man, bro, if it wasn't raining, I for sure would be down to do that shit tomorrow, because y'all would be stuck here.
Like, oh yeah, that's true. Nah, but we definitely gonna come back out, bro.
100%.
The vibe is dope.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'll wear something sexy if it's cool.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, this guy, bro.
I'm gonna need the
wait till
nipple
the end of the
tape. I'm gonna
podcast.
need the nipple tape.
I'll leave the little X's or the tassels. I could
Yeah, and make sure you don't shave the belly button hair. You know, they might think that's sexy.
If y'all want to see that, let Mike know.
Look, hey, he looking over here like, bro, I'm cropping all that. Like that's coming out post edit.
Nah, it's gotta stay in there. He's a funny guy, very funny guy. A lot of sus moments, but very funny.
Hey, nah, this definitely could have been like a 6-hour podcast.
Nah, for sure.
Nah, 100%. But we only
organic.
have one. It was just, we came here for you, basically. We literally flew out here just to interview you. So yesterday we were hoping to get some more people, but we ended up catching a vibe, going to places that we never been to. So we got to experience Cali a little bit, but for the most part, we got to come back and just straight work.
I got some people. For my boy Sasha Tone, for sure, we got to get him in.
Yeah.
Fresh Kicks, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm pretty sure I can get
Next
him on board with it.
Too short notice, but we definitely need Fresh Kicks on the podcast for sure.
Yeah, I see it like the comments. Get Fresh Kicks to Mike Myke. Fresh Kicks to Mike Myke. I see that like. That's why I put when I seen that, I just put the little emoji eyes on there. I'm like, I see you, bro. I see the comments, bro. But yeah, I got a few people we can link it up with for sure.
Cool. So if you can, tell the viewers where to find you. I know people obviously are here for you, but for people who don't know who you are, they want to find out. Flickering. Yeah, I know. The lights are flickering, guys. It's a little bit of a storm going on, like I said. So, you know.
Yeah, if you're looking for me, it's _ Mike Myke, MyKE. YouTube is Mike Myke, MyKE. All the social stuff will be on my YouTube channel. You can just go there and check it all out.
Are you going to bring back the old intro?
Yeah, when the SE's done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when the SE's done, I'm going to bring back the old intro for the nostalgic like vibes.
Cool.
Got to.
Be looking forward to that. Well, appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. I know we're in the shop.
Alex for trying to kick us out. Nah.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex.
Yeah, shout out to Alex, man, for the space, man.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
He's
like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, he left his little, he got an early flight for me to make this happen for me. So appreciate
that. Was
that.
Love. Thank you so much, bro. So yeah, until next time, guys, make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe, and catch you on the next one. Peace. Hopefully we get home.